Good morning to each and everyone present today here at Zoom and on FB Live. Welcome to today's Research Summit, the first ever research event hosted by FEU Roosevelt Tertiary Education Division and Graduate School of Education under the leadership of Dr. Victor T. Tabuso, our beloved Dean, in cooperation of the Research Department of FEU Roosevelt. This Research Summit aims at showcasing the excellent works of the graduate students and in the end, inspire all of them in the graduate school to finish their master's degrees. This Research Summit will bring together academic researchers to share research, exchange ideas, and to participate in critical conversations through research, innovation, and analytics to present their findings and hear about the latest work within their field. In a while, we're going to start our program for today. This is your host, Professor Elizabeth S. Veridiano, the Program Head of Bachelor of Secondary Education, FEU Roosevelt. So to start with, we shall remain silent for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem, after which may we all be in one mind, body, and spirit as we praise and thank our Almighty God for all His graces and blessings through an invocation.
Almighty, for gathering us today. Give us the fortitude to conquer life's challenges so we can excel and be upright in everything that we do. Guide us to be united in diversity, that we may continue to serve and love one another. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome and listen to the opening remarks to be given to us by the ever-dependable and responsible Dean of FEU Roosevelt Tertiary Education Division and Graduate School of Education, Dr. Victor T. Tabuso.
To the faculty, the students, and participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. First of all, let me extend a warm welcome to all of you to the FEU Roosevelt Research Summit. I am especially honored to welcome our distinguished speakers, most particularly the plenary speaker and presenters. This event was initiated as a venue where we get to present the best researches of our students and at the same time an avenue to teach them how to present such researches in conferences. If you are not one of those still do not realize the value of research and education and in your life, imagine where we could possibly be right now without research. Humanity able to face the pandemic, both like COVID-19, thanks to the vaccines and medicines, which are all products of research. That is why I congratulate you for being today, for you will reap the benefits of attending Research Summit as such as this one. And what are some benefits? You get to sharpen your knowledge, gain new ideas, and best practices, make new contacts and stay connected. Experience team building and break out your comfort zone. Just be your all eyes and all ears. Definitely, you will not go home empty of significant research takeaways. This morning, we will witness the 9 presentation of research conducted by MAED students in the different fields at major. As you know, we always highly encourage our students to present and discuss their research in conferences like this. What for is the use of conducting research if you don't get to share? The end goal is always for others to learn and to benefit from your research. And how it is possible? By publishing, by sharing, and by presenting. We are actually very proud of this endeavor because despite the conditions brought by the pandemic, you get to experience presenting your research today. Hopefully, today's Research Summit will make our presenters contribute to and learn about the most recent advances in their fields. They will get to practice their presentation skills and develop expertise needed to discuss their research in a clear and meaningful way. In short, attending and presenting conferences offers a myriad of opportunities, not only to our presenters today, but to all young researchers present here. Indeed, research is what propels humanity forward. We will all live and move forward despite challenges because of research. With that being said, I enjoy you to give your full attention, to react, and to share your ideas. Again, have a pleasant morning.
Thank you, Dean, for a very warm welcome and for giving us a brief overview of what will transpire in today's event. At this moment, let us listen to the introduction of the plenary speaker to be done by Professor Willie L. De La Cruz, the Program Head of Bachelor of Elementary Education and Bachelor of Early Childhood Education of FEUR Roosevelt. Professor De La Cruz, the floor
Good morning,
is yours.
everyone. It is my honor and privilege to introduce our plenary speaker for today. He obtained his Doctor of Philosophy in Industrial Psychology at IRIS in Manila and Master of Arts in Education, major in Guidance and Counseling at FEU Roosevelt, Cainta, Rizal. He is a seasoned researcher, having been authored 16 internationally published studies. He was the former Dean of College of Arts and Sciences of Mary the Queen College of Quezon City. At present, he is professionally affiliated with FEU Roosevelt as research consultant, IRIS in Manila as graduate school, lecturer, and international trainer at LifeWorks base in Canada. He is also a peer reviewer of Science Publishing Group Journal based in New York, USA. Editorial board member of International Research Publication based in Bangladesh and Novelty Journals based in India. He also served as plenary speaker during the First Division Senior High School Virtual Research Conference of the DepEd City Schools Division Office of Antipolo last July 5, 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, our plenary speaker, Dr. Frederick Edward P. Favela.
Ayan, thank you po, Professor Willie De La Cruz. Maraming po salamat and I'm very happy to welcome everybody. Shout out sa mga personally in-invite ko at kinulit ko na umattend. Marami po sila na nandito ngayon. Okay, kung okay lang po, I would like to share kasi mayroon po akong hinanda na PowerPoint kung okay lang po sa inyo. So, okay. So, I hope naka-share na po. Pwede po bang feedback kung naka-share na po sa screen ninyo?
Yes, Doc. Yes, Doc.
Ayan, thank you. So, ang napili ko pong topic is empowering educators through research. Maganda po yung nabanggit ni Dean, no? Ni Dean Victor Tabuzo kanina na without research, we would not have the the technology that we have right now, even the medicine. Ano? So, kaya we should foster a love, no? A love for research kasi it's a way by which we can discover things. No? I will start by showing you this. Nakikita niyo po ba yung picture? Ayan, no? Kung mapapansin nyo, nung Friday, ang daming nag-message sa akin na may nahuli daw na buhaya dito sa Marikina and sa Antipolo. No, nakita daw yung buhayang yan sa Marikina at Antipolo. Dami-dami nag-message. Sir, nabalitaan nyo ba yung, yung nahuling buhaya sa Antipolo? Yan, no, kita nyo yung picture. Binabantayan talaga nila. Ang daming tali para hindi makatakas. No, kung papansinin mo nga naman, oo nga, no? Mukha siyang totoo. Totoo nga siguro. No, pero yun nga ang why am I showing this picture? Kasi nga we Filipinos may study po na lumabas na majority of Filipinos cannot distinguish between real and fake news. Hindi po natin ma-distinguish. Kaya ang dami-dami nag-message sa akin na ay, may buhay na huli, mas malaki pa kay Lolong, ganon. And then, nung ginugoogle ko, wala naman lumalabas sa mga news feed, no? Wala naman lumalabas sa respected media outlets. Puro social media lang. And then, ayan, nabasa ko to. Okay, so ito pala ay isang peking buhaya. Pero kung titignan mo yung picture, bakit binabantayan ng mga tao? Bakit ang daming tali? Kung props lang yon. At kung props lang yon, bakit kailangan naka-expose? Pwede naman sa loob ng container van, no? So parang sinadya nila. Sinadya nila na mapagkamalang totoo yung buhaya. Di ba? Parang gano'n yung dating, no? So kaya maraming napaniwala. At maraming nagsabi sa akin na, uy, may buhayang nahuli. No? Imagine, ano? So, last month, meron po akong ginawang research which was and it was about fake news. Tama-tama, dumating yung buhayang yan para ma-highlight yung research na ginawa ko before, no, last month pa. So, do we know the difference between what is real and fake news? Yan. Can you spot fake news? No? And when you believe fake news, doesn't it mean that someone else is now controlling your beliefs and actions? Siyempre kasi naniwala ka eh. So your decisions will be based on what you believe. Kaya paano ka niniwala ka may buhay? May buhay sa Marikina. No? Ano kaya ang effect nun sa'yo? No? Okay, so yun lang po. No? That's how important it is for us na hindi tayo madala ng mga ganyan. Lalo na ng pandemic, no? Lalo na tungkol sa bakuna, yung mga microchip na yan. No? Dami-dami mga fake news. We don't know what is real and what is fake. Kaya sabi ko, last month, gagawa ko ng research about fake news. Pero it's not about how to spot fake news. It's about our vulnerabilities. Bakit ba tayo nabibiktima ng mga fake news? So this was my latest published research last month, no? Investigating factors that influence the belief in and the sharing of social media news as well as the attitudes towards fake news of selected Filipinos. So this was published in a journal based in Sweden. And ito po yung mga respondents na nag-volunteer na sumagot ng aking research, no? From Quezon City, Pasig, Marikina, San Mateo, Rodriguez. No? There were 177 participants and the mean age was 21.9. Alam niyo po, pag gumagawa po tayo ng mga research, yung mga respondents, kailangan dinidescribe po natin yan para alam natin sino ba sinurvey niyan. So, parang yung mga survey nung nakaraang kampanya ng mga eleksyon, di ba? May lumalabas na number 1 si ganito, si ganyan, pero hindi mo naman alam kung sino yung sinurvey. Ako, sa buong buhay ko, I've never been surveyed sa politics na yan. Kaya po ba? Na-survey na ba kayo? Hindi ko alam kung sino survey nila eh. Okay, anyway. So, tingnan niyo po yung mga katanungan na tinanong ko at para makita natin kung ano yung mga vulnerabilities natin when it comes to fake news. Kasi tayo yung mga educators, or most of you who are here are probably educators, and alam po natin, we have this confidence na parang hindi tayo madadala ng mga fake news na yan, no? Edukado tayo eh, ba't tayo madadala yan? Pero tingnan natin lumitaw doon sa aking ginawang research, no? A lot of people believe, no? Tingnan niyo kung gaano karami, is that fake news is spread accidentally. No? Ibig sabihin, they think it's true and they share it. Parang yung sa buhaya. Di ba po? Okay, another highlight. Highlight ko lang po ito, no? Ano po ang guys, na dami ba ng likes? It's good na kita niyo po marami pong hindi nadadala sa dami ng likes. Pero meron pa rin, tingnan niyo po, 9.8%. Dagdag pa natin si strongly agree, mga 10% po. No? Nadadala sa dami ng likes. Ay, siguro totoo yan. No? Imagine, that's our vulnerabilities. No? Dami ng shares. Oh, mas marami pa po. More than 10%. No? More than 10% nadadala sa dami ng shares. Eh, paano kung puro trolls yun? Paano kung puro bot yun? Alam niyo yung bot, di ba? Yung automated mga programs na nagpapanggap na tao. Yan. Comments that agree. Ito na yung talagang pinakamalaki. Marami pa rin hindi nadadala niyan. Parating niyo almost 20%. No? Almost 20%. No? Just because makita nila dami nag-comment sa post na yun na nag-agree, eh siguro totoo yan. Ito pa yung mga vulnerabilities po natin na uncover ko po from doing the research that I did, no? At tingnan natin kung sino ang mga taong nag-share sa atin. Na dahil sinare sa atin, ay share din natin. Family member, 20.6%, no? Sipin niyo yan, basta nag-share sa akin ng nanay ko, ay totoo yan. I-share ko din yan. Nanay ko nag-share. Lang naman hindi ko paniwalaan nanay ko, di ba? So parang ganun ang dating, no? Friend, 21.6% and more. No? Just because sinare ng friend mo sa'yo, sinishare mo rin. Yan. A teacher, wow, tingnan nyo kung gaano karami. Just because it was a teacher that shared it, more than 36%, no, ang naniniwala at mag-share din yan kasi, si teacher yon. Imagine the power that we wield, no, as educators. E paano kung fake news din yung na-share natin at hindi natin alam na fake news? Hindi sinare na rin ang mga estudyante natin. Diba? Kung tayo po mismo ay nadala. Ayan. No? Romantic partner. Ito medyo mababa. Tingnan nyo, 16.5%, no? More or less. No? Ibig sabihin, independent-minded tayo. Hindi tayo basta-basta nagpapadala sa asawa natin o jowa natin. Ano? No? Unless awayin ka ng jowa, what di mo sinare? Sinare ko sa'yo. Ikaw Ayan, no? Ayan. And then, ka-church. O diba, kapanalig. Kapatiran. No? Basta church, fellow church member mo nag-share sa'yo. No? Almost mga 23% more or less, no? Ay, ka-church ko yan. Totoo yan. Si-share ko yan. Eh, paano nga kung fake news yun? At hindi alam na nag-share sa'yo na fake news nga yan. Gaya ng buhaya. Di ba po? Okay. And then, tingnan natin. Political or social beliefs that are same as mine. Pareho kami ng kandidato na sinusuporta, nag-share siya sa akin ng news. I-share ko din to, totoo to kasi kapareho ko siya ng gusto kong kandidato. Never mind kung fake news yun. Imagine, ito po yung mga vulnerabilities natin. Akala natin, alam natin how to spot fake news. Pero may mga factors pala involved. No? Hindi basta-basta. Hindi basta-basta na kaya nating suriin. No? Kung kaya nating suriin kung alin yung mga fake news. And this is what we discover when we do research. No? Ayan. And, no, gaya ng unang-una kong fake news without my knowledge. No? So sila mismo, yung mga respondents, they themselves admit, no, around 40% of them admit na baka nakapag-share sila ng fake news na hindi nila alam na fake pala. So we have to be very careful, no, with the news that we receive and we share kasi, no, information, yung decisions natin will be based on what we believe. Will be based on what, no? On all these things, no? Yung information, dami-dami kasi, no? So much information is spreading and we don't know which is real and which is fake. Kaya nga na-invento na yung trabahong fact checker, no? Si fact checker. Si fact checker, mas mabagal yan So hindi niya basta-basta ma-fact check yung mga fake news na yan. Okay? So yun lang po, no? I was instructed by our boss, our dean, to share a research na lang kaysa mag-speech dito para at least kahit pa paano makita po natin ang value ng research. So sana po, hindi na po tayo madala ng mga fake news basta-basta. Alam na po natin ang vulnerabilities po natin. No? So again, I would like to echo kung ano yung sinabi po ni Dean. Thanks to everyone. And I'm very happy. And I also want to thank our SVP, Dr. Alma. I don't know if she is here. And also Dean Tabuzo na na-realize namin yung dream na magkaroon ng ganitong research summit. And our wonderful program committee na talagang napakasipag, no, sa pag-organize nitong ating research summit na ito. And good luck po sa ating mga research presenters. Now, one of them will be selected as the best presenter and will receive the best thesis award pagdating ng graduation nila, I think next month. Ayan, so marami po salamat for the chance to share my research with you. And again, God bless all of us and enjoy the rest of the morning. Ma'am Elizabeth Veridiano, thank you po.
Thank you, Dr. Eric Fabella, okay, our very own research consultant here at FEU Roosevelt, for that very inspiring. Yes, I know many were inspired by what Dr. Fabella have shared with us, okay, and comprehensive information about research, okay, particularly on the current issues we are facing. We are truly grateful that you have shared your bright ideas in the field where you have truly proved yourself excellent. Once again, thank you, Dr. Fabella, and also thank you, Professor Willie de la Cruz. At this point, we're going to witness the awarding of certificate to the plenary speaker, Dr. Frederick Edward T. Fabella, FEU Roosevelt Research Consultant, and our speaker for today's event. To do this, we have Dean Victor T. Tabuso to do the awarding.
Thank you. FEU Roosevelt awards the Certificate of Appreciation to Dr. Frederick Edward T. Fabella for being the plenary speaker during the FEU Roosevelt Research Summit. Given this 27th day of June 2022, signed by yours truly and our Senior Vice President of FEU Roosevelt, Dr. Alma Emerita V. de la Cruz. Congratulations.
Thank you po, Dean.
Thank you, Dean Tabuso and Dr. Fabella. Moving on to this program is the introduction of the panelists who will evaluate and ask questions about the research presentations for today. Dr. Nancy C. Rayos, Faculty of FEU Roosevelt Graduate School of Education, will do the honor of introducing the panelists, and after which she's going to present the mechanics in evaluating the research presentations. Dr. Rayos.
Good morning, everyone. I'm honored and privileged to present three outstanding researchers of the university who will serve as our panel for today's research summit. All right. Dr. Veridiana, am I coming in? I can't see myself on the screen. Okay, so we have two ladies and one gentleman who will serve as panelists for this day's research summit. First is a faculty of FEUR since 2018. She holds a Doctor of Education, major in Educational Administration, earned from the University of the East, as well as an MA in Education in English as ESL, English as a Second Language, also from University of the East. So I am pleased to present Dr. Crisanta Buri. Next, we have somebody who holds an AB in Behavioral Science from Marilyn College Foundation. An MA. Yeah. An MA in Education, major in Special Education from our very own Roosevelt College. PhD in Family Studies from Miriam College. She is also skillful in speech training, song composing, and guitar playing. May I present Dr. Bernardita Tiamson. Last but not the least, we have someone who has a PhD in Educational Leadership and Management from De La Salle University, Manila, a master's degree in teaching mathematics from the Philippine Normal University, and who is also an item writing consultant and evaluator for the Center for Educational Management, CEM. Also currently principal at Don Bosco Technical Institute of Makati. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present Dr. Don B. Buencisesa. Okay, I cannot seem to find, sorry, I have to apologize. I cannot seem to find the mechanics. Dr. Veridiano, I cannot find it from the messages sent to me. Can somebody do that for me? Presentation of the mechanics.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Reyes. Okay,
thank you so
for
much,
sharing
Dr.
with us brief but outstanding qualifications of the panelists today. Okay, this time we are going to listen to the research presentations chosen from among the theses presented and defended this school year 2021-2022. Okay, after each presentation, the panelists will ask one or two questions to the presenter. Are you now ready, my dear presenters? Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you the research presenters in today's research summit. The first to present her research paper is a MAED major in mathematics student, currently an ESL teacher, and a grade 1 team leader at Korean International School in Hanoi, Vietnam. Please welcome Ms. Mary Calano in her research study entitled The Use of Peer-Assisted Learning Strategies, or PALS, in Teaching Mathematics to grade 6 students at Korean International School in Hanoi, Vietnam. Ma'am Calano.
Good morning po. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Tamaraos. Good morning to our dearest doctors and professors. A pleasant morning to all of you, Dr. De La Cruz, Dr. Tabuso, Dr. Fabella, and to our dearest panelists. Good morning all the way from Hanoi, Vietnam. Let me present to you my study entitled The Use of Peer-Assisted Learning Strategies, or PALS, in Teaching Mathematics to grade 6 students at Korean International School here in Hanoi, Vietnam. The main objective of my study, next slide po. Then the main objective of my study was to determine the effectiveness of using PALS in teaching mathematics among Korean students. PALS, or peer-assisted learning strategies, is a cooperative learning where students are grouped into small group, and they are tasked to do a specific task. But unlike the normal pairing method, this technique requires the teachers to carefully pair the students according to their level of ability. The high-level student should be paired with the low-level student in the class. As you can see, I have here an illustration of the high-level student, which is the coach, and the low-level student, which is the player. The research design adopted was quasi-experimental, and the study was carried out to 2 selected grade 6 classes with a total population of 73 students. One class was treated as the experimental group, and they were exposed to PALS for 1 whole semester. And the other class was treated as the control group and was taught with a conventional method of learning and teaching mathematics. The experiment lasted for 1 semester. A standardized test was downloaded from an official Korean website, and it was used to gather the data and information from both the pre-test and the post-test of the student. Using these data gathered, implications and effectiveness of pulse were determined. So here is the implementation, how pulse was implemented. So the first one is the pre-testing. So on the first week of the semester, pre-testing was done. Pulse was implemented 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week. And during the procedure, students were advised to take turns as coaches and players after 10 minutes. So earlier, I showed you an illustration of the high-level student, which is the coach, and the low-level student, which is the player. So during the first 10 minutes, the high-level student, which is the coach, should be the teacher and guide the players to answer a specific task. After 10 minutes, they should take turns as coaches and players, and the players were expected to do the same with the guidance of the coach. Regularly shuffle the pairs to maximum students' participation and exposure. So shuffling of pairs was done once a week, or sometimes every time we change the unit, or if there is if it's necessary to change the pairing. However, in pairing the students, the main role or the main should be the high-level students should be paired with the low-level students. There are 2 major activities for this pulse implementation. The first 20 minutes should be the coaching, wherein the high level, this was discussed earlier, the high level students should be the coach and the low level should be the player, and they should take turns. After 20 minutes, another activity should be done, which is the practice. The practice is about 10 minutes. This is where the students were given worksheets or activities related to what they've done in the coaching part. And then after that, on the last week of the semester, post-testing was done using the same instrument. So the data gathered from the pre-test and the post-test was analyzed using a t-test, and hypotheses were tested at a 0.05 level of confidence. So this slide shows you the summary of my results. So it shows the difference between the pre-test and the post-test scores of the students in the control group and the experimental group. The computed paired t-test value was -4.074 and -9.605, which are both significant at a 0.05 level of confidence, which led to the decision for the researcher to reject the null hypothesis. Therefore, there is a difference between the pre-test and the post-test scores of the students in both control group and experimental group. However, if you check the increase in the experimental section, that's 64%, which means that the students who were exposed to pulse performed better compared to the students who use the conventional method of teaching and learning mathematics. Therefore, I conclude that pulse was proven to be effective in teaching mathematics among Korean students here at Korean International School in Hanoi, Vietnam. And with random interviews with the students, informal interviews done, students' attitude toward mathematics also improved. Most of the students were confident performing mathematical problems when they are paired with their peers. They are at ease to ask questions if they don't understand something. These are just few of my recommendation. Use of pulse activities and worksheets, full implementation of pulse, not only in mathematics, but also in other subject areas. Intensive training of teachers in using pulse. So in my study, I have there my proposal of an intensive training of teachers on how they are going to use pulse inside the classroom. And the last one is, of course, inclusion of pulse in the revision of the curriculum. I would like to end my presentation with this quote: teaching peers is one of the best way to develop mastery. Thank you so much, Tamarose.
Okay, so that was a very nice presentation, Ma'am Calano, in the
Thank you
use
so
of
much,
pulse
Bro.
in teaching mathematical concepts. Now, let us hear some questions from the panelists. Okay, are you ready, ma'am? So probably we'll start with Dr. Buri. followed by Dr. Chamson, and then Dr. Gwen Suceso.
Good
Panelists?
morning po.
Hi, congratulations, Miss Calano. Can you hear
Thank you
me?
po. Yes po, Doc.
Yeah, it was a very nice presentation, and
Thank
I
you
think
po.
you got the mastery of your paper. At any rate, my only one question is this, no? How is that your study? How is that your study related to the work you're doing now? Are you doing it now?
Actually po, I'm teaching ESL, but I used to teach English in mathematics before po. I was hired as an English mathematics. So I have to be the assistant of the Korean mathematics in the classroom during the implementation of the program po.
Okay, is that part also be used in English as you're doing it now?
I'm trying po with my classes because I'm teaching the lower grades, grade 1 and grade 2 at the moment. And it's really difficult right now since I have 30 students in the classroom. Unlike in the grade 6, I have there the Korean teacher, which I assisted during the implementation.
Okay, thank you, Miss Calano.
You are welcome, Doc. Thank you po.
Dr. Chamson?
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning po, Doc.
Yeah, and of course, I would like first of all to congratulate you for such a comprehensive and very clear, organized presentation.
Thank you so much, Doc.
At this point, I just have one question. I find Pulse as something unique, which can also be used for other subjects, right?
Yes.
So, in the case of your study, what do you think are maybe some of the disadvantages it could have, like maybe the effect or the impact on low learners? Like, did you along the process, did you encounter any disadvantages?
Actually po, during the implementation, everything was done okay po. I think it's maybe if they are paired with someone they don't really like, but we have to consider the fact that they should be paired with the high level and the low level students. So there were times that students were paired with someone they not really friend of, so maybe that's one of the disadvantages. But that's why there were times that we have to reshuffling the pairing method. We used to reshuffle the method every once a week, or if there is if it's necessary to shuffling the pairing, we have to do it.
I guess you hit the nail by its head, reshuffling for the challenges and disadvantages that you had encountered.
Yes po.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much po, Doc.
Dr. Gwen Suceso?
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Hello, Joy. I have two questions.
Yes po.
Particularly first, you utilize pre-experimental design. What made you decide in using the pre-experimental design, considering the disadvantages of using it, comparing it with quasi-experimental and true experimental design?
Sorry, Doc, one more time po.
Yeah. You use pre-experimental design, right?
Yes po.
But there are many disadvantages, particularly the threat to internal validity of your research. So what made you decide?
Sorry, Doc.
Yeah, what are the reasons for choosing pre-experimental design?
It's because, Doc, I'm dealing with teaching strategies. So
Yeah, sure. Okay, so thank you for that. Another question.
nervous.
In the tool that you use,
Yes po.
you actually utilize the same test, no? For
Yes po,
both for pre and post test.
Yes po,
So
Doc.
considering the threat of using the same test, because the group may show an improvement simply because of their experience with the test that you use. So this is especially true when the treatment period is not that long and the tests are given within a short time. How did you consider this threat to the internal validity of the results of your research? Kasi you use common test, right? Not the standardized
Yes po,
test,
it's the
both for
standardized
pre-test
po.
and then the post-test.
Yes po.
So how did you consider this threat to internal validity of the result of your research?
I think po I've chosen the test because it's everything is in Korean po, and it was an official test from their Korean educational system. And I think po one semester is good enough for them to for me to gather the data needed for my study po.
Okay. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you so much, Doc.
Okay, so thank you, panelists, and thank you, Ma'am Calano.
Thank you so much po.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Goodbye, Tamaraos. Thank you.
Okay. Now let's move on to the second presenter, also a MAED major in mathematics, presently teaching in grade school at St. Scholastica's Academy Marikina in Marikina City. Let us all listen to Miss Princess Gonzalez in her research study entitled Use of Manipulatives in Teaching Mathematical Concepts to Grade 1 Pupils in the Community. Princess?
Thank you so much, Professor Virgiano. A blessed morning to everyone. I am Princess Gonzalez. My advisor for this study is our respective dean, Dr. Victor Tabuso. The title of my study is The Use of Manipulatives in Teaching Mathematical Concepts to Grade 1 Pupils in the Community. But before I proceed with my introduction, let me define first manipulatives. Manipulatives refer to any tangible or concrete materials or objects used during instruction to support students' learning of numbers and operations. Manipulatives can be simple like counting on fingers, blocks, popsicle sticks, or counters. Next slide, please. To start, let me share the reason why I conducted this study. According to Piaget, a psychologist, students cannot understand and learn the abstract mathematical concepts presented in words and symbols solely by direct explanation. They do not have the necessary cognitive maturity for it. That is why he argued that students can learn abstract mathematical concepts due to their experiences with concrete objects and materials or manipulatives. In his theory of cognitive development, he considered the concrete stage as the major turning point in the child development. Scamp, a famous mathematician, defined conceptual understanding as knowing both what to do and why. That's why I conducted this study to prove and to support the previous studies that manipulatives should be used in teaching mathematics to let the learners understand its concepts in order for them to solve more complex and abstract mathematical problems or even real-life problems. With that, I came up with these research questions. Number 1, what were the pretest scores of the pupils before the use of manipulatives? The post-test scores of the pupils after the use of manipulatives? What was the significant difference between the pre and post-test scores of pupils before and after using manipulatives? And number 4, based on the result of the study, what was the implication or program that can be done in teaching mathematical concepts with the use of manipulatives? And for my null hypothesis, there is no significant difference between the pre and post-test scores of the pupils before and after the use of manipulatives. As we go through my study, let's find out the answers to the research questions and if the null hypothesis was accepted or rejected. Next slide, please. Next, please. The participants were 10 grade 1 pupils who were enrolled in school year 2021 to 2022, living in Banabas and Mateo Rizal, that were chose using a convenience sampling. For my research design, I used pre-experimental since a single group was observed at 2 points, before and after the use of manipulatives. A questionnaire for pre-test and post-test was used for the research instrument. The instrument used in the study was tested for its validity and reliability. Under data gathering procedure, a letter was given to the parents requesting for the approval for the respondents' participation. A pretest was given to the pupils before the use of manipulatives, followed by the implementation of lesson in math with the use of manipulatives, and a post-test after the instruction. For the statistical treatment of data, the mean scores and the standard deviation of the pre and post tests were computed to compare the average scores of the pupils and to see how dispersed the data in relation to the mean. T-test and gain score were used to compute for the significant difference of the post-test and pretest and post-test of the pupils before and after the instruction, and to know whether the null hypothesis was rejected or accepted. For the ethical consideration, all information included in the study was accurate, transparent, and free of bias. Communication was open, and all participants and subject of the research were respected and fully informed about the purpose. All collected data were confidential and were destroyed after the study. Next slide, please. The following is the summary of the result based on the specific problem stated in the study. Let us compare the results in problem 1, which is the pretest scores of pupils before the use of manipulatives, and the result in problem 2, which is the post-test scores of pupils after the use of manipulatives. For problem 1, 1 pupil got a score in the range of 1 to 5. 4 pupils got a score in the range of 6 to 10. 4 pupils got a score in the range of 11 to 15. 1 pupil got a score in the range of 16 to 20, with a mean scores of 10.60 and a standard deviation of 3.04. While in our problem 2, no one got a score in the range of 1 to 5 and 6 to 10. Only 2 got a score in the range of 11 to 15. And 8 pupils got a score in the range of 16 to 20, with a mean score of 7.30 and standard deviation of 6.67. We can see the difference between the mean scores of the pupils in our pre-test and post-test scores. Now, let's proceed with problem number 3. The significant difference between the pre-test and post-test scores of pupils. The result shows a significant difference with the pre-test and post-test scores of the participants before and after the use of manipulatives in teaching mathematical concepts. And for problem 4, based on the result, it can be implied that the use of manipulatives in teaching mathematical concepts was effective. Therefore, it can be applied in teaching the topics in mathematics. Teachers should undergo seminars and workshops regarding the use of manipulatives. Next slide, please. And for the discussion, based on the result of the study, the following conclusions were drawn. So for problem number 1, here is the conclusion regarding the pretest of the pupils. The result indicated that the group's understanding of the subject was inadequate. For problem 2, regarding the post-test score of the pupils after the use of manipulatives, the use of manipulatives of pupils contributed to the increase of post-test scores. And number 3, there is regarding the significant difference between the post-test and pre-test, there is a significant difference between the pre-test and post-test scores of grade 1 pupils before and after the use of manipulatives. Therefore, the null hypothesis was rejected. And lastly, about the program or implications, the use of manipulatives can help the pupils understand mathematical concepts. This may be added to other studies to support manipulatives in teaching mathematical concepts. In light of the findings and conclusions of the study, the following recommendations were given. Number 1, the administration, teachers, parents, and students should adapt their manipulatives in teaching and studying mathematics to ensure that principles are fully understood. Number 2, the administration should incorporate manipulatives into the curriculum to enhance the instruction and boost students' academic achievement, particularly in mathematics, and conduct seminar and workshop for teachers and parent orientations on the use of manipulatives. Number 3, the school should provide training and seminar emphasizing the value of manipulatives. This way, teachers can be encouraged to expose students to manipulatives when teaching mathematical concepts. Number 4, teachers should attend seminars and workshops on manipulatives in mathematics instruction to appropriately and meaningfully implement the lesson using manipulatives. Number 5, teachers should plan lessons in mathematics utilizing a variety of teaching styles and manipulatives to ensure that learning occurs. Number 6, this study invites future researchers to expose kids to manipulatives at various grade levels within the context of regular school programs in order to obtain more accurate and comprehensive data. And lastly, the researchers should continue to perform additional studies to design further educational programs that aid students in grasping mathematical ideas. Next slide, please. That would be all. That in all things, God may be glorified. Thank you for listening.
That was a very good presentation, Ma'am Princess, on the use of manipulatives in teaching mathematics concepts to grade 1 pupils. So Ma'am Princess is now ready to respond to your questions, panelists. So let's start this time with Dr. Benzo Ceso is on screen already. Let's start with Dr. Benzo Ceso, followed by Dr. Chamson, and then Dr. Buri.
Thank you, Dr. Perigiano. Good morning, Princess.
Morning po.
Yeah. How did you employ the use of the manipulatives, and what particular manipulative did you use in doing your experiment? Is it face-to-face? And if it's face-to-face, were you able to consider COVID guidelines when doing your research?
Thank you, sir, for your question. First, the reason why I chose only 10 pupils, it's because of the pandemic. And to consider the number of students, I divided them into 2 groups. So I have Group A and Group B. So when we use manipulatives, most of the time we are using blocks, popsicle sticks, or anything that is available. Just like what I said a while ago, manipulatives are any tangible or concrete materials that can be used in teaching concepts in math. So as we go through as I conduct my study, I made sure that everyone will have a social distancing. Each of them were provided 1 table, and I made sure that there will be no interaction among the students, just the pupil and their manipulatives. Thank you, sir.
Is there a specific manipulative that you use, or any manipulatives lang?
In my study, sir, I only use blocks and popsicle sticks.
So meaning to say the blocks and the popsicle sticks made the difference in their performance?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So did you use, last question, did you use the same test both for pre and post test?
Yes, sir. The same.
Yeah. So I have so many questions regarding, but because of the limited time, yun na lang po siguro, Dr. Verigiano. Thank you for your answer, Princess.
Thank you, Doc.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Benzo Ceso. Let's, what about Ma'am Chamson? Dr. Chamson.
Good morning, Princess.
Morning.
Okay. First of all, I would like to commend you for such a kind of study that would really improve and help the students' learning development, especially in math. But I have a question regarding its implementation. After you said that this research could also be used for other researcher or other researchers to enhance the development of skills, I am asking if how would you consider the diversity of your students? right? So we are living in a diversified world, and even in the classroom, it's diversified. So meaning to say, you have different learners. The manipulatives that you use might not be of their interest, or they might have some additional needs when it comes to using manipulatives. How would you consider doing that in implementing this in the classroom? How would you consider using this for students with diversified needs?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tiamson. For that question po, just like what I said, manipulatives are any tangible or concrete materials. When we implement the use of manipulatives in teaching mathematics, we don't need to require our students to use just one kind of manipulatives. Just like here in the school that I am teaching, we use manipulatives because we're following the Singapore math curriculum. We don't ask them to just prepare or to look for blocks, to look for popsicle sticks. We ask them to look for any manipulatives that are available in their home. So some of my pupils in Sainsco, they are using stickers, they are using Lego, anything that will show their interest. And in that way, they can their motivation and in that way they were motivated to learn mathematics more. Thank you, Dr. Tamson.
Thank you. And maybe just a follow-up. Did you encounter any students with additional needs in your classroom while doing that?
Yes, ma'am.
So the same way.
Yes, ma'am. What I did, I saw that only one, ma'am. One of the students, there are times that her attention doesn't direct to the manipulatives. What I did is to have a close supervision to that pupil. And from time to time, I am checking her. That's it. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chamson. Now, Dr. Buri.
Okay, Miss Gonzalez. Miss Gonzalez. Congratulations for the well-presented paper. Okay, this is my only one question. Mathematics is more often disliked by many students. By this study that you have made, do you think this matters to those who dislike math? And if ever, how are you going to reason that out?
Thank you so much, Dr. Buri, for that question. One of the reason that I chose this study, since just like what Dr. Buri said, many pupils, we all know that, they don't like math. And based on the PISA, the result of PISA last 2018, we ranked second to the last among 79 countries. So the use of manipulatives, especially in early grades, it will, just like what I said to Dr. Tiamson a while ago, the pupils were motivated because they are using something instead of showing numbers. I think one of the reason why students doesn't like math, because most of the time we are showing numbers right away. Let's say, for example, the concept of multiplication. We go straight to 2 times 3 is equal to 6. But when you ask the pupil, why do you think 2 times 3 is equal to 6? They cannot explain it. But if we are going to use manipulatives, instead of showing the abstract or going to the abstract stage of showing 2 times 3 is equals to 6, we use manipulatives, or we ask the students to prepare, okay, girls or class, prepare 2 groups in which there are 3 popsicle sticks or whatever you have, popsicle sticks, counters. And in that way, they will see that multiplication is a repeated addition. So instead of having numbers, they can have a new strategy that the students can experiment and be responsible with their own learning. Thank you, Dr. Buri.
Okay, thank you for a very clear answer. That's all.
Okay, so thank you, panelists, and Ma'am Princess.
Thank you so much po.
Okay, so the title of the thesis of the third presenter is Adversity Quotient and Emotional Intelligence of Selected Public School Special Education Teachers amidst the pandemic. A MAED major in SPED student, and currently she is an associate guidance counselor, AS and A-level psychology teacher, and values education teacher at Fountain International School. She is also teaching English as a second language subject to students from Japan, Thailand, Korea, Turkey, and Russia. Please welcome Ms. Wayona Borilla. Ma'am Wayona.
Good morning, my dear panels. To introduce first my study, so adversity quotient and emotional intelligence are two important abilities to develop in special education teachers nowadays. Next slide, please. According to Priya in her study, teachers encounter a slew of obstacles on a daily basis. So aside from their educational programs, administrative course, and activities, teachers also have is also responsible for the students' physical and moral requirements. The teacher's job has evolved significantly. ASHO in 2021 once said that the school workers were industrious prior to the pandemic. Currently, special education teachers and schools are adjusting to the new educational standard, which is the new normal. During the pandemic, special education teachers are left with questions about how to teach and learn, especially with those children with special needs. As a result, it is time to focus on these two distinct constructions and broaden the literature to include teachers in the Philippines. Next slide, please. So this is the methodology that I have used. But before I explain my methods, I would like first to define what is the variables that I use, which is adversity quotient and emotional intelligence. As you all know, adversity quotient, it is the ability to adapt to and handle challenging situations. It is also known as what we call resilience, which describes how a person reacts to life's challenges, from minor inconvenience that we can encounter every day to more significant stress or pressure at work. On the other hand, when we say emotional intelligence, it is a set of abilities or a set of skills that help us understand and deal with our own and other people's feelings. So together, they help us respond to and use our emotions in intelligent ways. So with my methodology, I have basically used a quantitative research, specifically correlational. The local of my study would be the public schools in Marikina City, which we only have 7 public schools here, 7 public schools that offer special education in Marikina City. The sampling size was 20 special education teachers. On the other hand, the research instruments that I have used were adversity quotient profile and Geno's emotional intelligence inventory. So these research instruments that I have used was adapted. These were adapted, and I was able to get the permission of the authors to use these instruments. On the other hand, for the data analysis, I have used the Kruskal-Wallis test, Mann-Whitney test, Spearman, RHO, frequency, and the percentage. For the data collection, in order for me to collect the answers of my participants, the adversity quotient profile questionnaire that I have used, I was given a unique URL that was made by one of the employees of the authors. So I was given the online access so that it would be more convenient for my participants to answer my instruments. For the ethical consideration, I have made sure that the participants were not subjected to any harm. Next slide, please. Okay, so to directly go to the results, I have in my demographics, I basically gathered the age, the generation of the teachers, which is Generation X, Millennials, and Generation Z. And on the other hand, for the age, I have started with the ages of 20 to 30 years old and 30 years old and above. And also I have also gathered the length of the service of the teachers, which is from 1 to 20 years and 20 years and above. So in my result of the study, most of my participants were millennials. So they were 21 to 30 years old. So the majority, again, of my respondents also were single and they were female. On the other hand, with the result of my emotional intelligence questionnaire, the special education teachers exhibit a typical emotional intelligence skills, which are the following: emotional self-awareness, emotional expression, emotional awareness of others, emotional reasoning, emotional self-management, emotional management of others, emotional self-control, and of course the overall EI was average also. On the other hand, for the AQ mean scores, the special education teachers were average on the following dimensions: control, ownership, and endurance. Meanwhile, the special education teachers were below average for the dimension of the reach. So based on the EI skills and the demographic variables, most of the special education teachers who are teaching for 1 to 20 years and for 1 to 20 years and 21 years and above differed. So there was a difference. So they differed in their emotional self-awareness, emotional expression, emotional awareness of others, emotional reasoning, emotional self-management, emotional management of others. And on the other hand, those who were single and married differed in their emotional self-management. The next bullet says that none showed a significant difference in all demographic variables and AQ dimensions. And lastly, for the findings of the study, there was only one that provided a significant relationship between the adversity quotient dimension, which is the ownership, and on the other hand, one emotional intelligence skill, which is emotional awareness of others. Next slide, please. Okay, I think that's it. If it's possible to share my screen, because I have actually added.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. I can just put machines. Okay. Just to add, in my research, one of the problems in my statement of the problems is with the results that I have gathered, what would be the program that I can contribute or that I can give to or propose a program to the special education teacher. So this is the overview of the program that I have made for the special education teacher. So it is entitled Project Wellness. So I have made this program based on my observation in the school that I am teaching. As a teacher, we were given in-service trainings that were all about classroom management, making effective PowerPoints, presentations, how to deal with our students, and so on. But I have seldomly had the experience to attend an in-service training that talks about the wellness of the teachers, especially in my school. So this is the program that I have basically developed or proposed for the special education teacher. So it's very it's direct. So it tackles or it talks about the occupational wellness of the teachers, the financial wellness of the teachers, the stress of the teachers, and other things. So if if ever the the STS of the public schools, they can actually do this during their in-service trainings. So I think that's it. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. So that was a beautiful presentation, Ma'am Wayana, on the relationship between adversity quotient and emotional intelligence of SPED teachers during the pandemic. Okay. So Ma'am Wayana is now all set to answer queries from the members of the panel. So we'll start with Dr. Buri now, followed by Dr. Chamson and Dr. Buensoceso. So Dr.
Yes.
Buri.
Okay. Yes, congratulations. What's her name? Miss Borilla, am I right?
Borilla, yes, Miss
Okay.
Borilla.
So I am just concerned with the adversity quotient and emotional intelligence of teachers. Am I right that you tested on this?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so what changes are you expecting these teachers since you studied these two variables in your paper? Because I wanted to find out whether you have started from somewhere going to another level. So what changes are you expecting for them to become better SPED teachers?
As you all know, with the pandemic, with the special education teachers, they were left uncertain. Sorry, by the way, I'm referring to special education teachers because I am actually not practicing yet special education. So with them, I want the government or the Department of Education to give them something that is certain for the special education teachers, especially dealing with their emotions, especially they are left uncertain. How are they going with the emotions of how will they be able to teach those children with special needs in times of pandemic, especially with the virtual, with the distance learning that we have. It would be hard for the special education to teach them effectively. Maybe they were just given instructions, but how are they going to effectively implement it to their students? So with this uncertainty, this can actually cause them stress already at work and with their emotion that could pile up. So the change that I want to give is for the government to give them a certain and specific program to help the special education teachers.
Can I have just a follow-up? Were they not prepared for this? Because all teachers, whether they be in the SPED or in whatever field, they were prepared by this webinars and all sorts of training. Now, are you referring to these teachers who were not really prepared to undergo a new normal setup?
Yes, exactly, ma'am. I'm referring to those special education teachers who may not be ready with a new normal setup.
Oh, anyway, okay. Thank you, Ms. Borilla.
Okay, can we have Dr. Chamson?
Hi, good morning, Riona. I have already heard your thesis presentation before, and at the same time, I have read other research studies on this, the same concept and the same vision. Wait. Maybe at this point, I just would like to ask you and then focus on your program. Okay, the program that you have, which is the highlight, right? So after studying this, you have to come up with a program which you have shown. It's good that you have shown it and you have just caught up with the presenting it before the end. But my question is, how would you consider the holistic approach in helping special education teachers achieve wellness, right? You said wellness. So what would be the different processes or procedures by which you could reach out in a holistic way? Now, it's just seminars and webinars. Considering the holistic approach, what else would you like to give emphasis when it comes to wellness in your program?
I would like to give emphasis specifically on my program would be the health wellness, which is if in my program I actually put a Zumba or an exercise with the teacher. So that talks about the health. Also, it could tackle also the mental health of the teacher. So why am I referring to why do I want this to be the highlight of the program? It's because I want the teachers to be physically healthy. Specifically, of course, we cannot teach if they're not healthy. On the other hand, this can actually, if we are dealing stress, there are studies that have proven that we can just spend time having exercise, and this can actually help us to better handle the stressors.
Yeah, I like that Zumba that you said, right? So it's part of the wellness, the healthy lifestyle, right? What I'm doing. At the same time, there should be a collaboration, right? For me, with your with the heads of the school to be able to implement this. And of course, aside from the webinars, other holistic other approaches that might help in the wellness, especially of special education teachers. With that, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Chamson. Now let's have Dr. Ben Suceso.
Good morning, Ma'am Wayona. I go directly to the questions. I have two. First, do the variables, particularly the gender, the age, the civil status, and the generation that you have included in your research, contributed to the level of AQ and EQ of the participants?
Yes, but specifically, it's only the length of service that actually contributed to my variables, which is AQ and EQ. Like what I have said a while ago, it was seen that it showed that the length of service of the teachers who were teaching for 1 to 20 years were lower than those teaching for 21 years and above. So this may mean that those teachers who are teaching for 21 years and above have developed a strong AQ and EQ.
Yeah, so just the same, I would like to reiterate the second question because I think you were able to answer this question already. Considering that the result of your research, what is the contribution of your study, especially in this time of the pandemic, in dealing with the adversities encountered by your subject?
Thank you for that, Doc. For that, I just like what I have said, the proposed program may help the teachers in Marikina City to have a better AQ and EQ. I'm not saying that they don't have a good AQ and EQ, but they may improve their AQ and EQ by the proposed program that I have made. But again, this would have to be in coordination and approval of the Division Office of Marikina City. That's all.
That will be all. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Okay, so thank you very much, panelists and Ma'am Wayona. Okay, so the fourth to present her paper is a MAED major in special education, presently teaching as elementary teacher at FEU Roosevelt Marikina, and also the social media coordinator of FEU Roosevelt Marikina. May I present to you Ms. Jasmine Pacheco in her research study entitled The Benefits of Family Pet Companion in the Developmental Aspect of Children with Special Needs. Jasmine? Ma'am Jasmine, you can start now.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So let me just make it a full screen. Okay. So good morning, distinguished panel, administrators, guests. Can you see my screen? I just want to confirm.
Yes, Ma'am Jasmine.
Okay. Guests, faculty, and students of FEU Roosevelt. This research is not your usual teaching and learning management styles and strategies. This is beyond the four walls of a classroom and with the touch of a home. following the instructions of using the IMRAD method, may I present to you my research entitled The Benefits of a Family Pet Companion in the Developmental Aspects of Children with Special Needs. So this study was conducted with high hopes that it would help and inspire the other parents to guide their children with special needs and appreciate the minor progress that could lead to beautiful outcomes of their child's development. It may also enlighten the parents that the benefits and effects of their family pets are open to other parents in the same situation. Our research inspired by my three loving dogs and my beautiful cousin during the pandemic, but the result turned out timeless. The research investigated the level of development of children with special needs with and without furry four-legged pets, according to the parental assessment in terms of changes in child's cognitive development, physical development, socio-emotional development, and communication skills development. The significant difference between the assessment of parents of children with special needs with and without furry four-legged pets, and a program designed to sustain or increase the level of development of a child with the special needs with and without furry four-legged pets. For my methods, a descriptive comparative method was done to determine the benefits of a family pets to children and its significant difference of families with and without furry four-legged pets. Using purposive sampling and the assessment of 20 parents of children with special needs who have family pets at home were compared to the assessment of 20 parents of children with special needs without family pets at home residing in Marikina City. Through a written permit that covers the confidentiality of the data from the respondents, an invitation and Google form link of the test questionnaire were posted on various Facebook community pages for special education and pet owners groups. The response was thoroughly checked to assure that they fit the criteria of the respondent of the study. The researcher-made questionnaire checklist consists of 4 parts: the cognitive, physical, socio-emotional, and communication skills development employed in this study. The validation of the test was consulted by the practicing child psychologist and by experts. With my results, the results shown in Table 1 manifested the level of development of the child with special needs without four-legged pets, gathered a weighted mean of 1.79 with a verbal interpretation of sometimes. As interpreted by table number 2, the level of development of child with special needs with four-legged pets, a weighted mean of 2.66. Moreover, all criteria received a verbal interpretation of always. The difference between the assessment of parents of children with special needs with and without four-legged pets led to reject the null hypothesis. And for my results for the discussion, the families of children with special needs without four-legged pets at home could occasionally observe changes to the child's development or behavior after an interaction with a furry four-legged pet. Through daily interaction of children with a family pet companion at home, they exhibit a positive and constant development. Third, the implication of this research highlights the positive effects of pets on families of children with special needs with and without furry four-legged pets. It creates a bond between the family, child, and the pet through daily interaction. Pets could provide services and support to a child with special needs that could result in a child's significant development. Fifth, the role of a family member has a significant effect on the child's development in giving support and assistance to the child and a pet. And last, a child pet intervention plan uses pets as companion to help children with special needs. This CPIP aims to improve different domains such as cognitive, physical, socio-emotional, and communication skills through the daily interaction with pets in the comfort of their home. The CPIP is carefully divided into 6 parts. The first one is choosing the suitable family pet companion for the child with special needs and for the family. The second one, the people who can assist the child during the implementation of the plan. Third, the possible benefits of CPIP not only to the children, it could also help their families and also the teachers. Fourth, the possible target skills that could be developed in terms of cognitive, physical, communication, and socio-emotional development of the child. I also created a sample plan for a week that they could follow, depends on the target skills. And for the last one, I created a checklist and a journal for evaluation and could be also for assessment of the child. And to end this one, I would like to say this, that the home is wherever you feel love with the touch of a 34-legged pet by yours truly. Thank you so much po, and that will be all for my research.
Okay, so actually the paper has been very well presented. Ma'am Jasmine, on the benefits of family pet companion in the developmental aspects of children with special needs. So panelists, Ma'am Jasmine is now ready to answer your questions. So let's start with Dr. Chamson.
Okay. Good morning. Good morning to you, Jasmine.
Good morning,
First
Doc.
of all, congratulations. And of course, we clearly see the benefits of the having family pets with children with special needs. But my question is, what would be the implication of your study for families that do not have pets at home? They have reasons, right? They might have reasons. So what would be the implication of your study having benefits if owning a pet for families that do not really have pets at home for some reasons?
Okay, thank you so much, Doc Dita. So this research was designed for with and without furry-four-legged pets. The CPIP that I created, the Child Pet Intervention Plan, it indicates there that yes, we have to consider if a child has asthma, medical condition, of course, but the CPIP that I created can be done without also their own family pet companion. It can be done, for example, under cognitive development by pointing, by putting their hands up, by mimicking the movement of the child. A child can learn also. But like I said, the family can consider other types of pets that they can have at home. So that would be some implication for the families. They can use the CPIP on how to use or implement the CPIP even with they don't have the pets at home. I think that's it, Doc.
Follow up more than those benefits. How would this program help in, of course, making the child responsible for responsible not only for in owning pets, but responsible in his daily life? How could this help?
Thank you so much, Doc. So this CPIP that I created, the first week plan that I created focuses on the cognitive, physical, and socio-emotional development through self-help skills or through by simple doing like the feeding of the dog, the routine. For example, if they couldn't touch the dogs or the other animals yet, the rabbit, hamster, cats, if they're not on that point yet, that by touching it, going near them, by simply following the routine, like explaining to them that at 6 a.m. we have to feed the dog, so we have to wake up. So with that routine, the child can be familiar with that, and the child has a routine. So am I. I eat at 6 a.m. I eat breakfast at 6 a.m. And aside from that, the habits are taking a bath, taking good care for the hygiene of the pets, of the family pet companion, and that could be adapted to the family and to the routine also of the child or the children. Thank you, Doc.
Yeah, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you, Doc.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chanson. Let's have Dr. Bensuceso. Okay.
Thank you, Doc Verigiano. Good morning, Jasmine, and
Good morning,
congratulations. You have stated in your abstract that there is a significant difference between the evaluations of the parents and children? How did you do that?
So by making my own the questionnaire checklist that I created, with the result that they have, there is a significant difference between the two. Though it's very close po. It's very close. The result is very close. The parents of children with special needs without furry four-legged pets assess that there are sometimes, so not always. And then the child or the family of children with special needs with furry four-legged pets assessed or observed that with verbal interpretation of always. So that significant difference proves that a family with furry four-legged pets have daily or consistent development of the child with furry four-legged pets. But with that, I think it's a great start already with without furry four-legged pets and with the CPIP that created that they can follow also or consider with the implementation of it. So thank you, Doc. I hope I answered your question po.
Yeah. What is the contribution of your research to SPED teachers naman?
Yes, Doc. Thank you so much po. This is
We're actually talking about the SPED teachers and not more.
Yes. So this is a very wonderful question, Doc, because in special education, we use IEP, we use UDL, these designs used to cater the students and then being it flexible to everyone. So the CPIP, they can integrate this. For example, during the pandemic, it is very important. That's why I was very inspired to do this during the pandemic because this one was discovered at home. So for example, the teacher is teaching science. So she can use the CPIP, science and health, for lower grades. So for example, the CPIP can be used to implement, for example, the hygiene, like what I have mentioned, the hygiene, the healthy eating habits of the child. So with that, not only teaching by the concepts, if they have pet at home, they can use as the tool or they can use the pets to do it hand in hand or with the grasp of it on their hands. So I think teachers could really benefit into this one. And this is not really common inside of the classroom because we always use what's inside of the books. And in special education, it is very important to use tangible things, the thing that they can feel, they can touch, they can see. So I hope I answered your question, Doc.
That would be all. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Okay, thank you very much, panelists and Ma'am Jasmine. Okay, thank you very much. Now, the next presenter is a MAED major in English Studies and Instruction student. And right now, she is the assistant to the academic head and at the same time, an English teacher in the English program of St. Francis Xavier School in Thailand. Her thesis is entitled Discipline Styles of English Teachers and Behavior of Primary Students in St. Francis Xavier School. Please welcome Miss Marilyn Rockwood. Ma'am Marilyn?
Yes, ma'am. I'm ready.
Okay.
To all the members of the panel, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Marilyn Rockwood, a graduating student of Master of Arts in Education, major in English Studies and Instruction. I am grateful for this opportunity to present to you my research paper entitled Discipline Styles of English Teachers and Behavior of Primary Students in St. Francis Xavier School. To give you a background, St. Francis Xavier School is a Catholic school run by the Sisters of St. Paul of Shark in Thailand. And it has two programs, namely the Thai program, wherein Thai is used as a medium of instruction for all the subjects, and the English program, wherein all the subjects are taught in English. This research was participated in by 28 primary English teachers and 261 primary students in the English program. Next slide, please. It has been said that discipline plays a critical role in the ability of the teacher to teach and the student to learn. However, schools face many discipline issues every now and then. Next slide, please. In the case of St. Francis Xavier School, student misbehavior has been a constant problem among teachers. The lack of discipline among students disrupts the flow of classroom activities and interferes with learning. Every time the teachers have to address a discipline issue, they lose significant instructional time. With this problem, there is a need to bring teachers to a greater degree of awareness and mindfulness of the actions they most often gravitate to. It is by first understanding themselves that teachers become cognizant of how the students behave in many situations. Teachers' awareness of their own behavior can improve their rational decisions in the classroom and allows them for an increased insight to explore, expand, and develop discipline approaches. With these thoughts, I was impelled to investigate the discipline styles of teachers, which may inform them of their own behavior, and to ascertain the relationship of these styles with the behavior of the students. Next slide, please. So in this quantitative study, the survey method was employed to collect data from the respondents. For the teacher's inventory, it was made up of 24 items to identify the discipline styles of the teacher in the classroom, which were based on 3 philosophical positions, namely interventionist, which has a high level of teacher control, the interactionist, a moderate level of teacher control, and the non-interventionist, which has a low level of teacher control. On the other hand, for the students' questionnaire, it was made up of 12 items to assess their behavioral engagement in the classroom. All these results were tallied and statistically measured using frequency, percentage, weighted mean, analysis of variance, and correlation. Next slide, please. The findings revealed that the most dominant philosophical position or discipline style of the teachers is the interactionist, which has a 3.73 composite mean, as opposed to the interventionist and non-interventionist, which have the same composite mean of 3.63. This result means that the teachers prefer a democratic kind of classroom and focus on constructive behavior. It also reveals that the teachers have an inclination to the discipline styles reflecting interventionists and non-interventionists. So this inclination means that the teachers have an eclectic approach to discipline. They may use the strong reinforcement of the interventionists in one student or with one student in one circumstance, and also may employ the non-judgmental or empathetic tools of the non-interventionist in another. Therefore, it can be noted that the teachers must be abreast with all the different discipline approaches and know when to use which. The findings also reveal that there is a very weak relationship between the teacher's discipline styles and the behavior of the primary students. This indicates that there is no sufficient evidence to conclude that the teacher's discipline styles can affect the behavior of the students in the classroom. Next slide, please. With all these conclusions and findings, I, as the researcher, developed a behavioral intervention program to unify the different discipline approaches. This can also serve as a basis for the English program to design discipline policy management for the students and for the entire department. So all these are the results of my research, and it has been beneficial for the English program department of St. Francis Xavier School. Thank you for listening. God bless us all.
Okay, so thank you, ma'am. That was a great presentation, Ma'am Marilyn, on the discipline styles preference, okay, of English teacher and behavior of the students. Now let us hear from the panelists. So we'll start with Dr. Bensuceso, followed by Dr. Buri, and then Dr. Chamson. Dr. Bensuceso.
Congratulations, Marilyn.
Thank
And Doc, thank you, Ma'am Veridiano. I only have one question actually.
Okay.
I'm just curious about the use of ANOVA. How did you utilize it?
Actually, it was I was helped by the expertise of my statistician. Actually, I'm an English major, and I can admit that I'm not really very good at numbers. But from the result that was given to me, I was able to see the differences among the variables through the analysis of variance formula.
Yeah. Kasi follow up. Kasi this is a correlational research, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And that's why I'm curious about the use of ANOVA here.
It was to identify the significant differences among the content of the profiles of the participants according to grade level, according to educational attainment.
Yeah. How are you going to utilize the data that you have gathered after determining the significant difference? Because it should have been the relationship of the variables included in your research.
Yes, I focus more on the relationship, sir.
Yeah.
Because it was indicated from the result that there was not a significant difference actually among the things included in the profile of the teachers and the students. So I'm more of the relationship.
Right. So thank you. That would be all.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Bensoceso. Can we have Dr. Buri?
Hi, Marilyn. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Doc. I'm really nervous, Doc.
No, don't get nervous. Anyway, I have only one question because I know. Are you a primary school teacher also?
For this year, I changed the grade level. They gave me a new assignment, so I'm now in the secondary, but I still help with the administration.
My only question is this, no? If there are changes that you are going to make in your own course of teaching, no, because you have been a teacher for quite some time. So even if you change from the primary to the secondary, will there be a change in your strategy, in your discipline style after your study?
Yes, ma'am. Because like what we said, learning is a continuous process. So as the time goes by, we also have different demands and challenges to make our teaching more beneficial and productive to our students. So right now, the change that I can see, because I'm now teaching grade 7, 8, 9, most of the students prefer more of a digital learning and more of like engaging them in brainstorming, in group activities, and also in performance tasks. They want to do things with their own skills, given time for them to do things, and then present them to the class. So it's more of involving more the students with the aid of technology also.
What about I'm referring to your discipline style. So
discipline style.
Will you be interactionist or interventionist? Which is which?
Actually, I am more of the interventionist, the traditional one. I always like set the rules for the class, but now I am giving a more democratic type of discipline in the class. So I engage the student in making some rules in the class to interact with them. What are the things that they prefer? What are the things that they need? And if we meet at a certain point, then the rule will be approved by me and by them. So it's more now of a collaborative work for the rules in the class when it comes to discipline, the way I discipline the students. So I was more of interventionist before, but now I am more of the interactionist type. But I cannot still like only focus on just one or two styles. Sometimes I'm also an eclectic type of a teacher. So I try to experiment which one works in a certain situation.
Okay, that will be all.
Thank you, Doc.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Buri. Let's have Dr. Chamson.
Hi, good morning, Ms. Rockwood.
Good morning, Doc.
First of all, I commend you for a very organized and comprehensive presentation.
Thank you, Doc.
And at the same time, the question that was raised by Dr. Buri has already been answered. I was about to ask you, which do you think would you do for, what do you think would you do? What type of discipline would you apply for different types of learners or for different types of students with different behavior? Considering I'm now here again talking about diversity. Yes. So you answered it already when you said you have to adjust it to your students, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so that's I wanted to hear. Although in your study it was clearly pointed that the interactionist came out to be the I think the highest score
Yes.
for discipline, but some learners would not, of course, cater to that. They have their own style. Like you said, it depends on your students. So my question would maybe this is only for English teachers, but what would be its contribution? Like everyone experiences challenges in disciplining students. So what do you think will be the contribution of your study in this aspect?
Okay, ma'am. So we know very well that English classes will involve more of like group activities of students. They talk a lot. They have to do presentations. So English classes demand students to be not only doing things individually, but it's also in groups. So that means there will be more chances for them to speak or talk or make some kind of misbehavior in class. So by knowing this, maybe if we tell the teachers, the English teachers about the result, they can make some adjustment in the class, and so they can improve the discipline in the class when they do the activities in the English classes. So I think that is the best contribution that it can give for the English classes.
Well, I guess not only for English classes, but for other fields or content areas.
Yes.
Thank you. That would be all. Congratulations.
Thank you, Doc.
Okay, so thank you very much, panelists, and thank you, Ma'am Marilyn. Okay, so moving on to the next presenter, we have a MAED major in special education, currently teacher 3 at DepEd Antipolo San Isidro National High School. Let us all witness the presentation of Ms. Marjorie Lagdameo in her research paper entitled Lived Experiences of Teachers Handling Deaf and Hard of Hearing Students in Junior High Schools Inclusive Education. Ma'am Marjorie?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And it's such an honor and privilege to be part of this FEUR Research Summit. Thank you for this great opportunity. I'd like to say good morning to all our panelists and all of the participants that we have today. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Maayong buntag. That means because I was born and raised in Zamboanga del Norte, one of the cities, the Polog City, and I speak Cebuano. So let me greet you in my own language, which is maayong buntag sa atong tanan. Good morning, everyone. And yes, allow me to present to you the research that I conducted. And it's entitled The Lived Experiences of Teachers Handling Deaf and Hard of Hearing of Students in Junior High Schools Inclusive Education. Next slide, please. All right, so for the background of the study, this is conducted in one of the junior high school schools in the City Schools Division of Antipolo City. And yes, a while ago, our ma'am told that it's in San Isidro National High School. Why San Isidro National High School? Simply because this is one of the schools that has the highest number of enrollees every year for the deaf and hard of hearing students. So basically, the statement of the problem, this explores the lived experiences of regular teachers dealing with deaf and hard of hearing students in the junior high schools inclusive education. So the main research question is on how the teachers describe their experiences in teaching DHH in the absence of a sign language interpreter in the inclusive education. And specifically, it answers to 5 questions. How do the teachers teach the deaf and hard of hearing in the absence of an interpreter and an assistant teacher? Second, what strategies do the teachers use to understand the shared characteristics of the DHH? Third question is, how does the perception of regular teachers about DHH influence their interactions and the academic performance of the DHH? The fourth one is, what support can be facilitated to address the teacher's professional needs in handling DHH? And the last one, what insights and suggestions may be derived from the experiences of the teacher informants? What training program can be proposed? And the next one is review related literature. So in the review related literature, I started with legal foundations, of course, and then followed by related researches in literature. I took the related literature from Mendeley, ResearchGate, Google Scholars, and Enrich. All right. For the theoretical framework and the conceptual framework, for the theories, I have put the theories. I've used 4 theories: social learning theory of Bandura, the multiple intelligence, Vygotsky's theory, and the theory of mind. Why this theories? Because we're talking about inclusive education, and Bandura's theory states that learning, both cognitive and behavioral, takes place through observation, modeling, and imitation of others. On Vygotsky's part, the learning context has a strong impact on learning and development. For multiple intelligence, we know that garners multiple intelligence as basis for a curriculum in the classroom. This would just impose that students will be able to display their strengths and interests. And the last theory that where I anchored this study is the theory of mind. This allows us to understand that others have unique beliefs and desires that are different from our own, enabling us to engage in daily social interaction, particularly the deaf and hard of hearing students. And let's move on to the next one, the conceptual framework. The significance of this, the significance of this study, can we go to the previous slide, please? The significance of the study, this would really be significant for the regular teachers. Regular teachers in inclusive education, meaning they do not have a background in special education. There are teachers who graduated in their bachelor's degree with specific majors such as Filipino and English, but non-STEM majors. For the theoretical and conceptual framework, let's move on to the next slide, please. Okay, if you could see in the circle, this study mainly focuses on lived experiences of regular teachers. And I just selected 4 variables, like the experiences that have something to do with their challenges as they handle and as they teach the DHH and the inclusive education. We also have these strategies to understand the shared characteristics of the DHH. Then what instructional approaches employed in their classroom setup or in teaching and handling the DHH. And the last one is what support can be facilitated. The last part there, which is the proposed pocket seminars, trainings, and workshop for regular teachers. This is the final output of this research, of this study. So I'll explain that later. Next slide, please. Okay, the methodology on this research, I used the descriptive phenomenological method, and the sampling strategy here is purposive sampling. So when we speak of purposive sampling, what does it mean? It focuses on certain criteria, right? The researcher, as an English teacher and as a SPED receiving teacher, I was able to acquire 8 teacher informants, and basically they should fit into the criteria that is to observe purposive sampling. So what are the criteria that I used in selecting? In getting the teacher informants that I have? 1, must be an English or Filipino teacher. 2nd, must be a public school teacher with regular permanent status. Number 3, must be willing and open to share experiences about their lived experiences with deaf and hard of hearing. The 4th one is the teacher informant must be handling or teaching DHH in the inclusive education for at least 1 school year. And lastly, the teacher informant must voluntarily sign an agreement or consent that the interview is free, no cash, nor material thing is attached to the study, right? Then the participants of the studies, I am very blessed that I was able to get 8 teacher informants, 6 Filipino regular teachers, and 2 English teachers. The data gathering procedure, of course, I started with a semi-structured, and the teacher informants had 2 options. One is to go face-to-face interview or a virtual interview. All of the 8 teacher informants agreed that we're gonna have the face-to-face. And of course, since the pandemic is still going on, we strictly observe the IITF protocol for a face-to-face interview. The interview just run for like 45 to an hour, and it's done in a place where it's just I, the researcher, and the teacher informant. For the research instrument, this is a qualitative research, a phenomenological research. I used semi-structured interviews. Now, before I conducted the interview, the research instrument was validated by 3 validators. A graduate of master's focusing on qualitative research also, and then a school director who handles inclusive education. And then the 3rd validator of my research instrument came from the City Schools Division of Antipolo City. And the last part that I did in my methodology was the data triangulation. So the data triangulation was conducted through a focus group discussion. The transcriptions were presented to the teacher informants. This is to avoid biases and also to confirm, to observe validity and authenticity of the data that I gathered. Next slide, please. Okay, let's move on to the results and discussion. For the statement of the problem number 1, methods used by regular teachers in teaching DHH students in the absence of an interpreter and an assistant teacher. The theme that came out is that all of those regular teachers are preparing instructional materials for the regular and DHH students. This would just mean that they had exerted a lot of time in preparing not just for the regular students in the class, but they are also preparing different materials, modifying different instructional materials that will be suitable for the DHH students. For SOP number 2, strategies used by teachers in order to understand the shared characteristics of the DHH. Thing came up is that the teacher informants had to understand DHH students' behavior through observation and interactions. The 3rd one is perception of the regular teachers about DHH that influence their interactions and the academic performance of the DHH. The theme is that positive perception, self-fulfillment, equal treatment among students in the inclusive education. All of the informants said that they had this positive perception, that they love teaching the DHH in the inclusive education. Later on in the discussion, I will elaborate a little bit of that. For the SOP number 4, support that can be facilitated to address the teacher's professional needs in handling DHH. Now, the theme came is that trainings and seminars for regular teachers on inclusive education to address the problems of teachers handling DHH. Next slide, please. The conclusion. Here we go for the conclusion. For SOP number 1, in the absence of a language interpreter, the regular teachers are burdened with the preparation of instructional materials for both regular students and the DHH students, let alone the time-consuming and exhausting, and like what I've said a while ago, in modifying the instructional materials for the DHH students, simply because there was no language interpreter during the during classes. For SOP number 2, the strategies of understanding the shared characteristics of the DHH students, it showed that it is essential that the regular teachers must immerse in the deaf community in order to establish good relationship and rapport. So candid and genuine communication with DHH students is the most fundamental way to understand them. We really have to immerse, the teacher informants had to immerse themselves in the community of the DHH. And usually they do this during break times or during lunch times. For SOP number 3, the study highlighted the positive perception of regular teachers towards the DHH students. And it encourages the DHH students to participate and cooperate in the teaching learning process. This is because the teacher informants that I was able to interview, they were all they all had this huge heart for the DHH students. SOP number 4, the fourth conclusion of this research revealed that regular teachers are capable to teach the DHH students, but with proper and appropriate trainings and seminars related to the inclusive education. So their lived experiences of this teacher informants revealed a dearth training of sign language, just the basic sign language in order for them to immerse more, to communicate more with the deaf and hard of hearing. And next slide, I think that's the thank you slide already. But before, that's all right. I'd like to present the recommendations. So for the recommendations of this study is that 1, the City Schools Division of Antipolo City must consider deploying language interpreters since our teachers, our regular teachers, are not yet into the basic sign language. The second recommendation is increase the awareness of shared characteristics of the DHH students. So this can be done through symposiums, not only for regular teachers, but also for the entire school. The third recommendation is conduct LAC sessions. This is to boost the positive perception and the morale of the regular teachers. Boosting the positive perception of the regular teachers shall rekindle their passion to teach the DHH students. And the fourth one is from the insights gained from the rich information of the teacher informants, the research strongly recommends to provide a pocket training. May I share my slide? Or is it okay? For the, all right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hold on. I'd like to share a screen. This is for the pocket training. Okay, here we go. Can it be seen? This is the final output of the research. This is the pocket training. Now, the pocket training is a year-round activity, and this will start for school year 2022-2023. The title is Into the Basic Sign Language, Breaking the Language and Communication Barriers. The rationale for this is that the deaf community and culture are profoundly anchored in American Sign Language. So that's their first language. Learning ASL increases sensitivity and awareness of the deaf and hard of hearing students. So this pocket training workshop intends to provide appropriate practices for regular teachers to develop basic sign language skills that will be useful and of course vital in both teaching and their daily interactions with the DHH. Let me just go directly to the activities. What are, when we speak of basic sign language, this begins with practicing the ASL handshakes, then the finger spell, of course, for both letters and numbers, that's up to millions, and then action verbs. They have a different way of expressing themselves in showing the ASL verbs. That moves on to this descriptive words, or these are adjectives. Then the WH questions. Then the few last activities for this year-round activity would be practicing basic conversation. Then finally, the assessment. So there you go. That's the presentation that I have. Thank you so much for listening.
Okay, so that was a very nice delivery of your research paper, Ma'am Marjorie, on the lived experiences of teachers in handling DDH students. Okay, so panelists, Ma'am Marjorie is now ready for your questions. So let's start with Dr. Buri.
Okay, so congratulations, Ms. Lagdameo, for a very well presented and a very well communicated paper. I think it's very clear. So I am thinking of the question that I will ask, and this one came into my mind. So because these are lived experiences of those teachers. So my question is, among those experiences that the respondents have shared with you, which one among them plays to be the most important experience to be shared with the SPED teachers for the HHD?
All right. Thank you, Dr. Buri, for that question. I believe there are challenges. The challenges is the most essential and the most important experiences that my teacher informants shared with me as a researcher, simply because this is where that they became innovative. This is where they became having positive perception, because there was a language barrier. These regular teachers do not have the background of basic sign language, and in fact, all of them could not sign. So the challenge of how are they going to deliver, how are they going to teach the DHH? There's no sign language. For me, as a researcher and based on the results, this is the most essential, the challenges that they encountered in the teaching learning process.
Was there any thing new in the challenges that they shared with you, and that they were able to hurdle the challenge, or the same problems for every for any SPED teacher for HST? Was there anything new?
I'm sorry, Dr. Buri. I think my line is not really good. Can I hear that one more time?
Okay. I'm asking you if are you okay now? Are you okay now?
Yes.
I mean, my follow-up question, is there anything new that among the challenges that you have that the respondents shared with you? Is there anything new, or you just heard this challenge that they have encountered in the process of the teaching SPED children?
I think one of it would be the behavior of the DHH students. They tend to become frustrated. They tend to show lack of interest when their teachers could not understand them, even if they had the finger spell or in their basic communication that they could have. So that added to the challenge of teaching this DHH in the inclusive education. I hope I was
one last one. No, I am just very much curious. What community? Because you said I think in SOP number 2, what community will they immerse if in case they would like to improve their teaching? Is there any community where the teachers can immerse themselves? So what community are you referring to in the immersion that you're trying to propose?
Okay. The basic community, the basic characteristics of the DHH, particularly in expressing themselves, particularly in how they communicate with the hearing people. That's the community that I'm referring to, their beliefs, their culture, their way of communication.
Okay, I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Buri.
Okay, can we have Dr. Chanson?
Okay, once again, good morning. I would like to say good morning to you for such, and then of course, commend you for such a presentation. I'm so glued with the presentation, much more with the program that you have presented there. So first, seeing your program, a portion of it, I would like to ask, up to what extent would you promote cultural sensitivity training? Because this is a training for all teachers. Do you also include the staff for the cultural sensitivity? Do you?
Thank you, Doc. Yes. In understanding the characteristics of the DHH, it's not only those whom they associate with must be well versed with their community. It must be the entire school. Just like the umbrella setup or the umbrella mission of special education, it's not only the house, it's not only the school. If we could include like malls and everything, yes, we can do that. But for the program that I have, this would not just solely focusing on the regular teachers. We need also to include the advisors, because whether we like it or not, these DHH students must communicate with the advisors, as well as with the year level coordinators. And yes, we would really appreciate if the school administrators will be part of this, even the guards, the utility, and the maintenance in the school. This is to really embrace the community of our DHH students.
So you are saying that there is a great extent that you would implement cultural sensitivity training, because this is very important
Yes,
Okay,
Doc. Yes, Doc. It will be great if everyone in the school can participate in this basic sign language so that the moment the students would come in to our school, they feel appreciated, they feel welcome simply because everyone in the school can communicate with them. That makes the DHH students feel the sense of belongingness in the school.
And then follow up, would you consider an increased hiring of deaf candidates in position of leadership?
Oh,
Would you
yes. Yes. As a SPED receiving teacher, it has always been our advocacy that our products, our clientels, eventually when they graduate and they pursue, we would like to have them as our employees. In fact, the SPED Center of the City Schools Division of Antipolo City has been doing that. They have employees that are really deaf and hard of hearing, but they are helping, assisting a lot. They're giving a lot to the school.
Wonderfully said. I can't ask for more. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Johnson. So let's have Dr. Vensuceso.
Thank you, Ma'am Verichana. And thank you for presenting to us your paper, Ms. Lagdameo. I just have one question, not unless I have a follow-up question based on your answer. How do the themes from the experiences of the regular teachers handling DHS can help strengthen the implementation of inclusive education program?
Thank you.
And how will they enhance the perceptions about DHS and improve the practices of teaching learning process in the inclusive education?
All right. Thank you, Doc. Let me just answer the first question first. I guess we're trying to ask me, how do these themes improve the implementation of the inclusive education, right?
Yes. And if there is a particular theme that really emerged from all the themes, what would be it?
The trainings. The trainings would really help. I, as a researcher, is also a SPED receiving teacher. So basically, I experience a lot also, usually same with what the teacher informants have shared with me. These regular teachers really need trainings, workshops, and beginning with the basic sign language, because once the regular teachers are able to perform and do the basic sign language, this is already a great bridge, breaking the barrier of the language communication, the language barrier that we, the teachers and the DHH students have.
Sir?
Yes?
Okay, continue.
Okay, what was the second question, the follow-up question, Dr. Bonsiceso?
How will the themes that emerge enhance the perceptions? Because you're actually talking about the perceptions about the DHS of the teachers. So how will they enhance?
Okay, let me still anchor to the trainings and seminars and the workshops, the proposed, the final output of the study, because once they are confident in communicating with the DHH students, this would also, I believe, this would also enhance their perception. This would even intensify their perception that, yes, I am a hero in the lives of my DHH students, that I am a teacher, not just a regular teacher, but I go beyond extra mile in reaching out to DHH students.
Yeah. Last question, how did you identify the themes?
With the help of, I follow the Creswell method, like from the transcriptions, I bracket the horizontalization, the coded the themes, and of course the interpretation, and finally with the help of a thematician.
Okay, thank you. That would be all.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, panelists and Ma'am Marjorie.
Thank you, Po. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, so at this point, let us all listen to the presentation of one of our MAED major in teaching in the early grade students, who at present is teaching as a grade school teacher at St. Scholastica's Academy of Marikina City. Her thesis is entitled Parental Involvement and the Use of Multimedia Technology in Developing Literacy Skills of Kindergarten learners. Please join me in welcoming Miss Lara Joy Dumlao. Ma'am Dumlao.
Thank you, Professor Veridiano. To our participants, faculty, panelists, and to our respective Dean, Dr. Tabuso, good morning. I'm Ms. Lara Joy P. Dumlao, and I'm here to present you my study entitled Parental Involvement and the Use of Multimedia Technology in Developing Reading Literacy Skills of Kindergarten Learners. Next slide, please. Technology integration is becoming a norm in many young learners and early childhood at home and in online classroom due to the adoption of precautionary measures to combat the spread of COVID-19. The health crisis has led to radical, comprehensive, and serious changes in the lives of both children and their parents. Children are exposed to different types of multimedia. Children's exposure to media, technology, and screen time has increased at home and in school. Multimedia technologies are part of young children's literacy experiences in their homes, communities, and classrooms. When children begin schooling, they are likely to have had countless experiences involving digital forms of communications or participate in engaging interactive multimedia stories and activities involving educational games designed to teach the alphabet or programs designed to encourage reading, writing, and communicating. According to Newton 2016, children today have been viewed as a generation of digital technology and internet. From an early age, children have been given devices to watch videos from a website and play on online games. There have been many devices available, such as computers, cell phones, and tablets for the young children to use as entertainment and educational needs. Children have explored and discovered new concepts on their own when using technology. The purpose of this study is to determine the significant difference in the learner's pre-test and post-test scores before and after using multimedia technology in the teaching learning phase of the study. The significant relationship between learners' reading skills and parents' profile, and the significant relationship between the parental involvement to learners' reading literacy skills before and after using multimedia technology in the teaching learning phase of this study. Next slide, please. These are the methods and procedures adopted in this study. Descriptive correlational research design was used to describe the variables and relationship in this study. This study was conducted at St. Scholastica's Academy Marikina, also referred to by its acronym SSAM. St. Scholastica's Academy Marikina is a private Catholic educational institution for girls situated in Barangay Marikina Heights, Marikina City. The participants in this study included 22 kindergarten learners and 22 parents or guardians of the 22 kindergarten learners who were enrolled in one section of kindergarten level and included in purely synchronous class sessions in St. Scholastica's Academy of Marikina in the school year 2021-2022. The parents who participated in this study were the current learning partners of the learners during synchronous class sessions. Purposive sampling technique was used in selecting the participants in this study. The selected one section of kindergarten level was the researcher's advisee in the school year 2021-2022. This study used two instruments, such as pre-test, post-test, and the Parental Involvement Survey from Epstein and Sheldon 2007. The researcher constructed the instrument used for pre-test and post-test. Test validation by 3 experts was followed to retain, revise, and discard items. The Parental Involvement Survey from Epstein and Sheldon 2007 was permitted to use and adopt as a research instrument in this study. For data gathering in this study, a letter request was given to the parents of kindergarten learners enrolled in one private school or St. Scholastica Academy of Marikina, asking their permission for their child's participation and to attend sessions in reading class, and their participation to answer a questionnaire in this study. A pretest was administered before the session and parental involvement to see how well the participants know their phonemic awareness and reading comprehension skills. The instructions were given by the researcher. During the sessions, lesson was integrated with multimedia and with parental involvement was given to the kindergarten learners in a 10-day synchronous class sessions and 10 days asynchronous activities. After all the sessions, the kindergarten learners were asked to answer the post-test. The results in the pre-test and post-test were assessed to see the relationship of parental involvement survey, and the pre-test post-test scores were computed. The researcher used the following statistical tools to provide quantitative descriptions of the data. The first is the frequency and percentage. Frequency and percentage was utilized in determining the scores of the learner's reading literacy skills before and after exposure to multimedia reading lesson, and the profile of the learner's parents concerning demographic variables such as age, educational attainment, and socioeconomic status. Weighted mean was used to determine the average of pre-test and post-test scores of the learners before and after exposure to multimedia reading lessons, to calculate the frequency of the parental involvement survey questionnaire. Standard deviation was used to measure how far the pre-test and post-test scores were from the mean. Composite mean was used to combine the weighted mean of the frequency of the parental involvement survey questionnaire. Paired t-test was used to compare the difference between two means of pre-test and post-test scores of the learner's reading literacy skills before and after the exposure to multimedia reading lesson. P-value was used to decide whether to reject the null hypothesis and to test the the significance between the pre-test and post-test score of the learners' reading literacy skills before and after exposure to multimedia reading lessons. The significant relationship between the learner's reading literacy skills before and after exposure to multimedia reading lessons and parents' profile, and the significant correlation between the parental involvement and kindergarten reading literacy skills. Chi-square test value was used to measure the differences between the learner's reading literacy skills before and after exposure to multimedia reading lessons and parents' profile. Lastly, Pearson R was used to measure the strength of the relationship between the parental involvement and the kindergarten's reading literacy skills. Next slide, please. These are the results of the study and the analysis and interpretation of data gathered with the use of the adopted statistical measures. From the result of the SOP or problem number 1, what is the pre-test to post-test scores of the learner's reading literacy skills before and after exposure to multimedia reading lessons? As evident from the scores of the participants in the pre-test to post-test score before and after the use of multimedia reading lessons, the participants got the mean score of 15.50 with the standard deviation of 2.68 from their pre-test scores before exposure to multimedia reading lesson. And it is observed that almost all the 22 kindergarten learners answered the test items correctly with a mean score of 19.86 or 99.3% after the exposure to multimedia instructional materials in digital form. Thus, the use of multimedia technology contributed to the increase of the post-test scores of kindergarten learners. The second one, the result from problem number 2, what is the frequency of the parental involvement of the learner's parent? It is evident that there is a high level from the survey questionnaire of parental involvement in terms of parenting among parents of kindergarten learners enrolled at St. Scholastica Academy Marikina in Marikina City. It shows their support in their child's learning by making their home conducive to learning, and they make sure that they find time to talk to their child about school activities even if they are working in their respective workplace. Thus, there is a high level of parental involvement in terms of parenting. The third one, the result from the problem number 3, is there a significant difference between the pre-test and post-test scores of learners? The computed paired t-test value is negative 6.544 with a computed probability value of 0.001, which indicates significance. Thus, it is statistically significant and the null hypothesis is rejected, which concluded that there is a significant difference between the pre-test and the post-test scores of the participants after the use of multimedia technology in developing literacy skills. Furthermore, it has proven the assumption that the use of multimedia technology in developing literacy skills of kindergarten learners in St. Scholastica's Academy Marikina thus enhance the learners' reading literacy skills. The fourth one, result from the problem number 4, is there a significant relationship between the learner's reading literacy skills and the parent's profile? There is no significant relationship between the parent's profile and the learner's reading literacy before the exposure to multimedia lesson. This means that the reading literacy skills of learners before exposure to multimedia cannot be attributed to the parent's profile, age, educational attainment, and socioeconomic status. Fifth, from a result from problem number 5, is there a significant correlation between parental involvement and kindergarten learners' reading literacy skills? After exposure to multimedia technology, the learner's reading literacy skills and parental involvement has a moderately positive correlation as shown by Pearson R correlation of 0.546 and a p-value of 0.001 when computed. It was revealed that the learner's reading literacy skills have significant relationship with the parental involvement after exposure to multimedia technology. This means that the reading literacy skills depends on parental involvement after the child's exposure to multimedia technology. Lastly, the problem number 6, what intervention program can be developed to enhance and enrich the reading literacy skills of kindergarten learners? Intervention programs for teachers and parents were developed in this study. The intervention program or training for teachers and parents can enhance their skills in manipulating multimedia technology and in guiding kindergarten learners' literacy skills development. Next slide, please. Technology is always improving and changing every single day. We can observe that young learners have access to the technology that is needed for a modern education. With this, teachers and parents needed to find ways to effectively integrate multimedia technology into their teaching and guiding young learners at home and in online distance learning. Thus, parental involvement must play an important role in child's development, especially during this pandemic. Thus, this study implied that the use of multimedia technology in developing reading literacy skills is effective, and the parental involvement in learners' reading development using multimedia is very important. Therefore, the researcher recommended the school administrators, teachers, and parents should integrate the use of multimedia technology in their lesson planning. The school administrators should include the use of multimedia technology in designing the curriculum to enhance the learners' reading literacy skills. The school should provide training and seminars for teachers regarding the integration of multimedia technology. With this, teachers will be proficient in integrating different forms of multimedia technology in their lessons. The parents should attend seminars, workshops on how to guide their children in manipulating multimedia technology at home. Intervention program developed in the study can be used by the teachers and parents training in using multimedia technology. Parents should support the success of learners in online distance learning environment. The parents should communicate with teachers to discover their children's needs during online distance learning. For the researchers, they should continue to conduct more studies to further develop the school programs that enhance the integration of multimedia technology among the learners. And that will be all. Thank you.
Okay, so congratulations, Ma'am Lara Joy. That was a great presentation on the relationship among parental involvement, use of multimedia technology, and literacy skills of the pupils. Now let us hear from the panelists. So let's start with Dr. Tiamson. Ma'am Tiamson.
Hi, once again, good morning. Thank you for that presentation. I just would like to commend you for coming up with two important aspects of learning, the parental involvement, and at the same time, the enhancement of learning through multimedia. I just want to ask you, when it comes to your, because much have been presented about the answering your statement of the problem, but I am focused on your program. In that case, you were talking about parental involvement. Give me specific ways by which you could this program could enhance both parent involvement and at home. So parent involvement at home and homeschool communication. How could this enhance this parent involvement at home and both in school? Specifically, like for example, do you have any online access or to children's assignments and grades? Because I believe this is parental involvement. So give me specific ways by which your program could enhance both parents' involvement at home and school.
Thank you, Dr. Timson. As results were gathered and intervention programs for teachers and parents for online schooling were developed in this study. The first program for the intervention program for parents is the Parent and Family Digital Learning Guide. Okay, this aims to help all parents or the learning partners, including those who have limited experience with digital tools, those who have experts with these tools, and anywhere in between have an opportunity to discuss, or the school can, or the administrators can give this program to the parents. Okay, so the program specifically to discuss the benefits of digital learning and how they can gain, or how the techniques, the teaching strategies that can be shared in this program, so they can able to practice it at home to their students. For example, in Saintsco, we can offer training for the parents for our online platforms, how to manipulate the Microsoft Teams, how to engage their to their students' activities in using the Microsoft Teams, and also enabling their knowledge about the technology. And also, this one is also to ensure the access, or ensure their child's access personal learning devices, and how they can monitor it, and their safety, privacy, and their responsibility in online distance learning.
Okay, that would be good for parent training. As a follow-up, how would you consider the parents, of course, culture, availability, and willingness to attend? How would you, because not all of them could have time, or they could avail of that training. How would you do that?
Okay, with that barrier or the challenges, we can also offer at the same time a program for the learners during the discussion or during the synchronous class sessions, so that they can able to share it with their parents who are not available to attend the program, the training that the school offers, so that the parent or the students can also share it to their parents, as well as we can also provide a module on how to guide. They can read or guide them through the printed module, so that if they are not available to attend the training, they can also see that as a reference.
Okay, no more further questions. Hoping
Thank you, Dr. Thompson.
That would be implemented in the success of your research. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. So let's have Dr. Ben Suceso.
Thank you, ma'am, and good morning again. Good morning, Miss Lara Joy. Considering the purposes of your research and your research design, actually for me, by simply taking a look at the research title, I could say na it could be experimental and correlational, but you're focusing on correlational research, right? How did you determine the significant difference and relationship of the variables included in your research? And how did you combine experimental and correlational as your research design?
Okay, Doc, thank you for your question. To combine as an observation or during the process, okay, because it's really hard to determine in the experimentation process during the pandemic time. So I see the differences, or to observe the differences of the significance of from the parental involvement, because they are the current learning partners of the students or the participants.
That's it. Follow-up question. Considering multimedia, the use of multimedia technology in developing the reading literacy skills of the kindergarten learners included in your research. Remember that multimedia is complex, right? Technology. What particular multimedia or medium did you use?
In the process of the synchronous session, computers were used to, or desktop complete computer setup was used to integrate this kind of session, and I used PowerPoint presentation to present the lesson, and online games was also integrated in the activities. Ebooks, videos was used in reading activities. Picture words was also used to unlock unfamiliar words, and audio or music material.
Yeah, so that's right now that when we talk of multimedia, we're actually talking about like podcasts, slideshows, and animated videos.
Yes.
What really made the difference, the significant difference, considering all the multimedia technologies that you used? What really made the difference? The totality of the multimedia, or is it the PowerPoint presentation? Is it the animated videos that you use, just in case you use, or the games?
Almost all, actually, Doc, because the children are now very techy and more engaged with the activities online. Okay, they are flexible. So I every day I change the technique. Every synchronous session, I gave them a different platform, like ebook for this developing for comprehensive reading skills, and this one for the word unlocking of familiar words, I used picture words with audio. So I used this the one that I have mentioned every different platforms, every synchronous sessions.
Okay, so thank you for that. So in developing your intervention program, in order for you to help the teacher, is there a specific medium that that you can suggest to the teachers that they can use in order for them to consider or develop the reading literacy skills of the kindergarten students or learners?
From the program that I have made, I specifically recommend in the creating of video lessons using PowerPoint and video clips for interactive storytelling and voice lesson on phonemic awareness.
All right, that would be all, and thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
So, thank you, Dr. Bensuceso and Dr. Chamson, as well as Dr. Buri. And thank you, Ma'am Lara.
Thank you po.
So
Ma'am,
the next to present her research paper.
Ma'am I have not asked question yet.
Ay, si Dr. Buri pa pala.
Lagi mo na ako nakalimutan.
Lagi ko nakalimutan. Anyway, sorry. Okay, Dr. Buri.
In fact, the question I will ask was asked by Dr. Bensuceso, because I was about to ask what multimedia technology was used. But I just would like you, Lara, to be very specific, no? Because I'm an English teacher, and I'd like to really see how that multimedia part, specific multimedia technology was used in the reading lesson. What reading is it? What reading text is it? How did you go about using that technology in that reading lesson? Only that, Lara.
I'm sorry, Dr. Buri, my connection was lost a while ago.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
I
sorry.
was asking you, you give me specific, no? Just explain to me very specifically, how did you go about teaching reading lesson using that multimedia technology? So be very specific, exactly what you did. Because I am an English teacher, and I'm just very interested to see how you went about this teaching reading lesson, because the results are positive. So I just would like to know how specifically you went over, or you executed the use of technology in teaching reading lesson.
Yes, thank you, Doc Buri. At first stage, for the first days of the reading lesson, the first one that I have used is the picture words with audio for the unfamiliar words too, so they can unlock their vocabulary, and then videos for each phrases or sentences or events, and then after the videos of events, I presented ebooks or the read aloud books made by the teacher po for the interactive storytelling.
So that is only in one lesson. You did all of this. So from step 1 down to the end, you made use of technology.
Yes po.
So the students, being their children, they were able to catch up with this?
Yes po.
Okay, I mean, anyway, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Buri. I'm sorry about that. Okay. And of course, thank you, panelists, and Ma'am Lara. Okay. So the next to present her research paper is currently an English language development instructor at KP International School and a university lecturer at Panya Piwat Institute of Management, Thailand. A MAED major in guidance and counseling student with a research paper entitled Facebook Usage and Life Satisfaction of High School Students at KPIS International School, Bangkok, Thailand. Please welcome Ms. Julie Macariola. Ma'am Julie. Ma'am Julie.
Thank you, Dr. Verejano. Everyone, by the raise of hand, could you please tell me, or probably a reaction button, if you have a Facebook account? All right, and I wouldn't be asking those audience in our Facebook Live. It's too obvious for that. I'll be talking about the research that I made, which
Ma'am Julie, you're muted. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Verejano. All right. Good morning from here and good afternoon from there. Could you please help me know if any of you have Facebook accounts by the raise of hands or probably a reaction button? I will not be asking our Facebook Live audience. That's too obvious. Thank you very much. There we go. Now, I'd like to present to you my research that involves two very important variables. Please, next slide. Thank you. First click, please. First is Facebook. According to September 2021 statistics, in this whole world, we now have 2.8 Facebook users and also 1.2 billion active Facebook users every month. And there has been very good correlations of Facebook usage of students and also studies about life satisfaction. Now, I wanted to study the gap in here. And I also want to quote from another researcher, Blashneo. It says, life satisfaction has been frequently studied in relation to Facebook usage in general. This is in general. Now, I'd like to point on one thing that this study, my research focuses on three hypotheses. First one, the challenge here is first, there is no significant relationship between students' Facebook usage or intensity and their profile. Second would be there's no significant relationship between students' life satisfaction and their profile. And the main one here is there is no significant relationship between students' Facebook usage and their life satisfaction. So these are the three that I will be talking about here, from the results and everything else. And now, next slide, please. Thank you very much. Let me talk about the research design and also the locale that I've had. In here, thank you. In here, my study is quantitative method, and this is to determine the relationship between Facebook, which is in there, and the life satisfaction of the students from KPIS International School, which I conducted my study. And this is based in Bangkok, Thailand. Now, the research instruments that I've used, I've got two. First one is the MSLSS, and that is the MSLSS is a multi-dimensional students' life satisfaction scale, which studies and researches family, friends, social, school, living condition or living environment, and self. And the other one that I use is the Facebook intensity scales, which I'm glad I got personal response from the author that I could actually use this scale. And for the methods and instruments that I've used, mainly I use mainly I use the Pearson R to see the correlation between my two main variables. Next slide, please. Now, for the result of the study, let's focus on the Facebook first. Now, I mentioned earlier the significance of their profile. First of all, the high school students of KPIS International School, from grades 9 to 12, it was revealed from the study that the gender and the age have no significant relationship with their Facebook usage. Let me repeat that, that is gender and age. However, for the year level and also for their nationalities, this is an international schools. Therefore, we are talking about different and diverse nationalities here, from Chinese, Thai, of course. There are also Filipinos, Americans, Swedish, and multinational, multi-passported students, citizens. It means they have double citizenships. And for, let me repeat that, the year level and also the nationality of the students have no significant relationship with their Facebook usage. Now, let me go back. First, the two, gender and age, there is a significant relationship. And the year level and the nationality, there's no significant relationship at all. Now, for the life satisfaction of the students, again, this is a good result because also, again, it's the same. The gender and the age of the students have actually a significant relationship with their life satisfaction. And again, the year level and the nationalities of the students have no significant relationship at all. Now, for this one, I'd like also to share that based on the result that I've had, majority of the respondents, I mean these high school students, grades 9 to 12, these respondents have 100 or less Facebook friends, and also that in this, there's only 88% or at least 68% of my respondents have 200 or less Facebook friends. Now, still on Facebook intensity of the students, the result also significantly shows that 90% of the students, of the respondents, spent less than 30 minutes per day engaging in Facebook activities, perhaps games or posting or messaging. Now, what does it say? It means that the students from this school, KPIS International Schools, do not actually have active engagement in Facebook. Now, let me go back to the main goal of the study, that is to see the correlation or relationship of Facebook and life satisfaction of the students. Now, knowing that these students do not actually have active Facebook engagements, obviously, the relationship of these two variables is that it has very low correlation with Pearson R value of 0.123. That is not significant at all. And that means I did not reject, I accepted the hypothesis, the null hypothesis that I've had. I repeat that there is no correlation or relationship between Facebook use and also the life satisfaction of these respondents that I've had. However, as a researcher, we do not stop there. I did not stop there. I have additional question. Okay, these students are not actually active on Facebook. Then what is the platform they're using? This is apparently a social media generation. I had to ask. Next slide, please. May I have the next slide? Thank you very much. Now, upon digging, I also asked the students, okay, if you're not very active, and this is informal and unofficial interview, if you're not active on Facebook, what are you actually using? And the answer was Line. That is the application that is very popular here in Thailand. We have, in our school actually, we use this, we have this group line group messaging or group chat. We're using Line. How I contact with the students, I use Line, and of course the official email that we have. So, and the students also have their Line accounts, and that is the more popular platform than Facebook. Now I know. And now this is the answer to that question. And yes, this graph I have gotten from digitalbusinesslab.com, and this is in 2021 share of social media users here in Thailand. And also from here we can see that YouTube, Facebook, Line. Now, in my additional research, Line actually within the same website, Line actually is the champion in Thailand's messaging app. Not only that, we also have Line delivery. Yes, it's like Shopee, it's like Lazada. And also 90% of people that are chatting with friends or on their phones are using Line application. And with this, I have the recommendation of two main recommendations. First, is still talking about life satisfaction. I've recommended a program, psychoeducational program, which entitled Students' Life Satisfaction Program. This time, it includes all the stakeholders, from the parents, administrators, students, teachers, because the MSLSS talks about the whole being of the student, from family, friends, school, and self. And also, for further studies, perhaps a researcher or anyone who would like to research any relationship of life satisfaction, not only whole social media, to beat the gap in there, that is to use Line application in the study. Thank you very much, and may we all focus on life satisfaction. Dr. Enrich.
Okay, so that was a very beautiful presentation, Ma'am Julie, on the relationship between Facebook usage and life satisfaction of students. Now before we have our question and answer portion, let me just remind all the participants of this event to please fill out the evaluation form that will be used as reference for your certificates. Now the link and QR code will be flashed on screen and on the chat box. Thank you. So going back to Ma'am Julie, okay, the panelists are now ready to ask you questions about your study. So this time, let's start with Dr. Buri. So let me start with Dr. Buri.
Because you might miss me again.
Oh, yeah, I might.
Okay. Anyway, Facebook is really very, very popular among the social media, and definitely everybody is enticed. I think even me, no. Now, my question is only one question: what is this life satisfaction that people, young and old alike, are getting from this? In your paper, what is that life satisfaction? Can you explain and define specifically? Yes, Miss Julie.
Thank you very much, Dr. Buri. I'd like to quote from the author that I quoted and also included in my study, that life satisfaction, let's not forget also that life satisfaction is not exactly similar with happiness, but it says here it is the thought of as feeling of happiness and state of joy or positive emotion that an individual may possess. Let me clamp that up. It means how we actually like ourselves according to the degrees and to the indicators that we put in ourselves. The indicators not necessarily from a checklist from outside, but from us. And also to climb that even more, that is a state of joy that we feel in ourselves. Thank you very much, Dr. Buri.
Did you make use of any statistics to be able to arrive at just one Facebook?
I'm sorry, Dr. Buri, I didn't get that.
Yeah. Did you use any statistics for you to choose Facebook as the social media that you are going to study in this paper?
The statistics I use is
why did you, simple as why did you choose Facebook?
First of all, thank you, Dr. Buri. First of all, yeah, I checked the statistics of social media platforms, and not surprisingly, Facebook is the most used social media with highest number of users, and also is the social media that we use connected with other platforms. For example, I can log on to Lazada using social media. I can log on to Shopee using social media. That's the reason why I focus on social media, Dr. Buri.
So for your recommendation, are you going, I mean, did you ever mention about the negative side effects of Facebook?
I didn't have that in my recommendation, Dr. Buri, but I recommended the use of other platform that is Line.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Buri. Can we have Dr. Ben Suceso?
Thank you, ma'am, and good afternoon, Miss Julie. I think my question is related to what Dr. Buri asked earlier. Considering the tool that you use, the MSLSS, how did you contextualize the MSLSS to your participants? Because it was done in the year 1994. Do you think that the life satisfactions of our students nowadays are the same with the students in the year 1994?
Thank you very much, Dr. Bensuceso. Dr. Bensuceso. First of all, I put an very deep and intentional study of this very old MSLSS instrument, and I can, in my personal opinion, I can vest that it is still connected, not specifically to the other part, but it is still connected, related, and is equally important before and as now. Even that's 20 years ago, we are still talking about families, we're still talking about friends, schools, living environment, and stuff. And these are the factors that we face, and specifically the students that they face as biggest factors in their lives at the moment. Thank you, Dr. Bensuceso.
So were you able to determine the relationship? What would be the use of the relationship of these life satisfaction to the Facebook usage of your students? Can we predict something out of it? Since that's the main purpose why we do correlational research, in order for us to predict what will happen in the future if there is a significant relationship among the variables or between the variables you have included.
Well, funny enough, Dr. Bensuceso, first of all, the two variables that I've had, Facebook usage and life satisfaction of the students, are actually not related. There's no relationship, a strong relationship at least, but then we can predict that these indicators or factors that we have from MSLSS are still equally important, even connected to other variables, or also even in the near future or in distant future.
All right, thank you. That would be all.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ben Suceso. Can we have now Dr. Chamson?
Hi, is it still morning or afternoon? Hi.
It's morning from my end, Dr. Tiamson.
So, hi, good morning, Miss Julie. Just would like to ask, since you mentioned the use of Line app in Thailand, right? That students use more of it than Facebook. You mentioned that. I hope I'm right. That,
yes, you are.
Yeah. Okay. So does this prove that people who are involved in online relationship are more willing to communicate in real life, or they have more life satisfaction when they are able to have more friends? They can communicate with other people, old or new. Okay. So do you think this study has proven that? If not, why or why not? If not.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tiamson. First of all, my respondents are grades 9 to 12 students, and having the correlation of, actually I expected that there would be a strong correlation because this is Facebook. And then again, the correlation there, the result there is, there's no correlation between the two variables. Now, to answer your question, I think whether Line, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, I would think that this will be different if there are other with other respondents as ages, because these are grades 9 to 12. So perhaps the age is not is one big variable or one big factor here. That's why it's not correlated with the life satisfaction. So whatever social media we will be using, if we would like to correlate that, we should add also one big factor here, and that is the age of the users. Thank you, Dr. Tiamson.
Yeah, okay. So speaking of age, do you say that there is does this indicate a link between the number of friends and the satisfaction? Is there a link between the number of friends or people who are dealing with online with their happiness, or with life satisfaction?
Thank you, Dr. Tianzan. Again, my study resulted in a very surprising result that my respondents only had lower than 100 friends on Facebook. So, which means this is not actually a huge factor related to life satisfaction, ma'am.
Okay, with that, okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tianzan, and thank you very much, panelists.
So that's it. Thank you, Dr. Chamson, as well as Dr. Buri and Dr. Benzosenso. And of course, thank you, Ma'am Julie. Okay. So the last presenter, so we're on to the last presenter, is a MAED major in English Studies and Instruction, who is currently Teacher 1 at DepEd Silangan National High School at San Mateo, Rizal. Let us all witness Mr. Joseph Espirida in his presentation of his research paper entitled Filipinos' Encounter of Otherness in the Three Contemporary Novel, A Levination Ethical Analysis. Sir Joseph, it's your turn. Sir Joseph? Mr. Joseph? You can now present, Mr. Joseph. Okay. So it's your turn now, Mr. Joseph.
Okay, good morning. So, good morning, Michael panel. So, I will just focus on my analysis on the three contemporary novel written by Filipino authors, usually coming from UP Diliman. So, based on my abstract, the platform of its analysis is based on the theory of Emmanuel Levinas, a philosopher from Europe. So it centers on his theory of intersubjective relations of the otherness. So the first thematic analysis will be focused on the three themes. How do the novel manifest the themes of Emmanuel Levinas, such as transcendence, existence, and the human others? And the second analysis will be focused on how do the literary devices in the novel contribute to the development of the principles of otherness based on the philosophies of Emmanuel Levinas. And the third concept that I want to share with you is how does the program that was formulated by the researchers may contribute to the integrations of the philosophies of otherness in the curriculum. That's why in the later presentations, I will be presenting these programs. So I hope that through this analysis of this three contemporary Philippine novel, we may share with you on how do Filipinos consider the otherness of the others. Okay. So second slide, please. Second slide. Okay, so what are those ideas? Why is it that the researchers was able to come up with this point of studies, with this kind of study, a qualitative study, a literary criticism? Really, as we exist in this world, we are always in search for the intelligible truth, for those realities that every one of us aim to attain, and that is to be in union with God. And I hope we are capable to attain those realities, those intelligible truth, because in our basic goodness, we are really good. We are innately good in ourselves. Okay? So basically, yes, ma'am. So basically, the researchers want to that attaining those intelligible truths could be attained by the observance by a virtuous life, observance of God's moral precepts, and the challenge on how to live an ethical life with the others. And this panoramic view or this insights is basically based on the platforms of Emmanuel Levinas philosophy. Okay, so those are the subject always anchoring in this philosophy that the language, there is reason in a language. That when the I see the others, we could understand himself. Because the language in itself is really a powerful appeal to us that we are really obliged to help the others who are really in need. So really, the researcher is challenged by this 21st centuries. It seems to the researcher that there is really an individualism among our learners. Okay? Because as what I've been saying in my slides, consumerism might lead to the principles of individualism, expansionism as a society, and the new emerging philosophies of Racing. It seems to me that these are the leading philosophies. So there is what we call the least considerations. How about the others, the rest of the others? Okay? So this is really the philosophies that triggers himself to conduct these studies. That is why I anchor this in this intersubjective relations of man, which is to believe in the immediacy of the three core philosophies: transcendence, existence, and human others. As what I've been saying, this world is really a beautiful world for everyone else to live peacefully if we could just live with others. So this is really inclined with our curriculum in the Department of Education, particularly in the K-12. Okay? As an educator, I must be an instrument on how I could integrate the cumulative approach in the teaching principles, in the teachings of literature. Because I hope that through the teachings of literature as approach, as a style in using this communicative approach, I may regain again the values of justice, respect for gender equality, nationalism, and the virtues of hope. And this is really my leading principles in the teaching principles using communicative speech. That through the teachings of literature, I could enhance those values that we are really needing. I hope that through the teachings of literature, we could humanize our learners. Okay? For it teaches moral, social, and even philosophical issues that might inspire our young learner who are considered as the hope of this nation. Okay, second slide. So what is the methodologies that I use? So basically, the methodology is descriptive methodology, wherein I utilize qualitative methodology. So wherein in a qualitative research, I focus on the case study. So what do you mean by a case study? Meaning to say, I just focus on the experience, a phenomenal experience of people, of a certain group of people. And what are those experience wherein I have to understand how Filipinos consider the existence of others as it was reflected in the three Philippine contemporaries. So for this approach, I use an ethical analysis approach just for me to describe those experiences. Okay? So I also anchor it to situational ethical standards because I believe that as the I live in this intersubjective relationship with the others, he should always be considered. This is what we call a new philosophies on what I categorize it as a situational ethical platform. Meaning to say that as the I encounter the others through his language, he should understand that he is really in need. And this is non-reciprocal in its nature. Okay? So, by using these principles of Emmanuel Levinas, I anchor this in these three themes: transcendence. Meaning to say, for us to understand others, you have to go beyond what is natural. Okay? You have to go beyond what is natural. Okay? For you to prioritize others more than yourself. And existence. Really, this should be it should be the realization of everyone, especially our learners, that existence here on earth is always a relational. It is not only a specific relations with the I. And this is really a challenge for every educator. As what one of my panelists says, that in the K-12 curriculum, the concentrations of the kinder to grade 3 is just focused on the I, not only for the others. So it should be the realization of every learner that existence on earth is always a relational. The human others, really, this is what we call by one will be as a face-to-face experience. That as we stare up to the face of the others, we should really understand him, that he is really in need. And as an individual who has this kind of innate goodness from God, we should really quickly respond to that need without any questions. But most of the times, we used to ask questions. Bakit ko tutulungan siya? Hindi ko naman siya kapamilya. Hindi ko siya kapatid. Okay, then for the second concern of the researchers, he hoped that through the literary devices of each novel, the researchers hope that he may really unlock on how the Filipinos contribute the philosophies of the otherness. Okay? And the third one is, through the programs that the researchers have developed, he hoped that he could regain back those values. Okay? The values of, as what I've been saying before, the values of the otherness, justice, nationalism. So I hope that this program might be an eye-opener for the policymaker, for the curriculum planners, so that they could revisit, or maybe they could revise the curriculum in the values education. Because as what I have been telling to me by one of my panel, really the K-12 curriculum from kinder to grade 3, it just focused on the identity of the I and not the others. So I hope that through these programs, curriculum planners and policymakers may revisit the Philippine educational curriculum, particularly in the ASP curriculum, in the values education. Okay, sunod na slide please. Kasi hapon na. And this is my methodology. The framework of my study. So, hindi ko na babasahin, mag-aalauna na. Maybe you can see. So, this is the three questions. How do the three novels manifest those concept of otherness as it was stated in the platform of Emmanuel Levinas? So, existence and human others. So, this is the values, the sources of the data. Then, the second one, how do the following literary devices contribute those philosophies of otherness? So, these are my sources of the data. So, the first novel was written by Marilyn Rockwood, a Bicolano writer who is now living in Australia. When he was still in the Bicol region, he witnessed different social issues such as militarization in the Bicol region, rebellion because of unequal distributions of land, the canticle of the three women. This is the agony of the three women, basically rooted from one of the primordial social problem in our society, and that is land for the landless, distribution of lands for those who are really landless. And the killing time in the warm place by Jose Dalisay, a martial victim who narrated his own experience of otherness, okay, inside the jail during the time of Marcos and after the martial rules. Then this is the program. So I hope I could deliver a training matrix so that maybe my principals, maybe schools administrator may take this as a consideration on how we could revisit or maybe modify those curriculum in the ASP. Or maybe not only modify, maybe integrate this program for the development of the principles of otherness. Okay, next slide. And this is my result. I am really inspired and maybe disturbed as a Filipino, because really there are still
Hello, Sir Joseph.
a social problem that this
Hello, Sir Joseph.
okay. Okay na? Okay. For the first findings, really, in the first novel of Jose F. Dalisay, Transcendence, we could show that really, we are really Christian. Okay? Because really, we are all really Christian, and we are really Filipino. Wherein, as a revolutionary, they used to understand those natural signs that was coming from God. God is really provident among the revolutionaries. Why? Because they were given the chance really to reflect on their journey as a Filipino. And wherein they go back to their own families. Okay? They go back to their own families that would lead them to go back to the mainstream of the society. So during the martial rules, particularly as Dalisay has been narrated, really they go back to their family that leads them to go back to the social stream of the society. Okay? So they are already, Dalisay already abandoned those options that he take in his own journey. What are those options? The options of Marxism. So
Excuse me, Sir Joseph.
Yes,
Can we summarize the results?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, patapos na.
Then, yes.
Existence meaning to say, really, the different characters in the story was able to realize that they have to go back because itong aking nakabold, kaisa, kaloob, kapanalig, at kasama. So they go back to their family. We are really Filipino in our identity. So for the human others, this is something that is disturbing. Really, there is, for the third novel by The Canticle of Three Women, I could say that really there is still the lack of consciousness of the others, because really, as of now, as what they've been saying, land for the landless is just a dream. It is still under the hands of the oligarchs. And I hope the literary devices really tackles different issues of our society on how we really conscious of the otherness of the others. Such as, hindi ko na lalatin kasi patapos na ito, such as governance, corruption, the control of oligarchs.
Okay. Are you done, Sir Joseph? Sir Joseph? Are you done po?
Tapos na, ma'am.
Tapos na po, sir?
Apo.
Okay, so sige. Thank you, Sir Joseph Esperida, for that fearless presentation. So let us now hear from the panelists questions regarding your study. Okay, can we start with Dr. Bensuceso?
Thank you, ma'am, and good afternoon. Tama nga, no? Fearless presentation. I like that. But I have a lot of questions, particularly to Mr. Esperida, especially the methods that you use. You made mention here descriptive method, and then eventually you are using the case study research, and then in the research analysis, you made mention of the ethical analysis, then eventually thematic analysis. So which is which, Sir Esperida?
Okay. This, wala na. Narinig, sir?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, so this, sir, meaning to say, in the analysis, nag-i-echo, sir.
We can hear you clearly, sir.
Okay. So in the analysis of the three contemporary novel, I just focus on qualitative research. So meaning, I just describe on how the Filipinos consciously aware that they raise the other. Okay? So as what I mentioned about case study, because case study meaning to say, you consider a group of people, and these are the Filipinos as a nation. Okay, sir?
So, meaning to say, how can we generalize the result of this research if you have just described based on your maybe own opinion or ideas regarding the consciousness of the Filipino people to the otherness? See, that's my another concern, no? After identifying which is which, so whether you use case study analysis or descriptive method, then how can we generalize the result of this research if you have just described based on your opinion or... Yes, sir?
It is just based on the three novel as reflected in the three novel.
Based on the three novels, then you did a case study analysis.
Not only the generalized Filipino, just based on the three contemporary novel.
Okay, so how did you utilize the ethical analysis and as an approach to describe? Because there are 12 steps in the ethical analysis as an approach, right? In order for you to describe the Filipinos' ethical consideration of others or for others.
So in ethical, the first approach that I have considered is I focus my analysis particularly, for example, in using literary devices. So doon lilitaw through characterization. How do the different characters manifest this concept of otherness?
Yeah. My question is, did you use a particular steps or procedures in doing your ethical analysis? And if yes, what's the school of thought that you used?
Yeah, the philosophies of Emmanuel Levinas. So my ethical analysis is anchored on that philosophies, which is existence, transcendence, and human others.
Okay, so I think Ma'am Veridiana, that would be all. Otherwise, alas das na tayo dito matatapos.
Okay, so let's have Dr. Buri.
Okay, yes, I understand, Joseph has many things to say, but certainly knowing his paper, so my only question is this, no? How can you encourage teachers in other subjects and in other subject areas integrate the essence of otherness in the content of their subjects, Joseph? Because it's easier for us to do it in English because we're teaching literature and we can always integrate. What about in other subject areas?
Maybe, when I was in the private school, in every lesson planning, there is part in the lesson learning wherein there is the valuing points. For example, yung mga biblical connotation, mga biblical quotes. So maybe when time comes, maybe it could be suggested. Okay? Doon sa lesson planning ng bawat subject teacher.
Okay, that will be all.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Buri. Now let's have Dr. Chamson.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon.
Alas dos na.
Alas dos na po. Okay. I just want to make a follow-up on what Dr. Buri has just said. Because this is actually for me, it's something that we are looking forward to have a kind of, analysis that would lead to not just to analytical thinking, but to another person is a universe of mystery. Like we are different in our own opinion. So it's the otherness, right? They were saying. Now she was saying, how could this also be applied to other subjects? So if it is in literature, what is its implication now, considering it is more on a political world. If we talk about political world or issues, maybe global issues, biblical, what is its implication to our present learners?
Maybe as what I've been going throughout these studies, I could say that really we have to bring them to a certain consciousness. For example, what really happens to our society, to our personal journey as creatures of God, so that we could develop really values of considering others.
Yeah. Sir, I like the term values because I like your proposal, and I hope it could be implemented with the implications your studies would have on our learners right now.
Okay, ma'am.
With that, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Chamson, Dr. Buri, and Dr. Buensuceso, and thank you also, Sir Joseph, okay, Esperida. Okay, so there you have, ladies and gentlemen, our 9 presenters in today's FEU Roosevelt Research Summit. So thank you, panelists and presenters, to this battle of the minds, as they say. Okay, so before we move on to the next part, let me just read again the criteria that are used in the evaluation of research presentation. So, number 1 criteria, relevance of research topic to current times, 15 points. Novelty of the research topic to the presenter's field, 15 points. Level of difficulty of the research, 20 points. Clarity of the PowerPoint presentation, 15 points. How well did the study abide by the research guidelines, 15 points. And presenter's ability to answer panel questions, 20 points. So a total of 100 points. Okay? So at this point, I am really pleased to share with you, with all of you, our 2022 AVR presentation about our beloved school, FEU Roosevelt, where academic excellence, among others, is a prime purpose of its existence. Your dreams and goals are your next stop. We'll do everything we can to help you get there. Professor Dominic Martel Soriano, Social Media and NSTP Coordinator of FEU Roosevelt Tertiary Education Division, will further discuss the course offerings of FEU Roosevelt. So let us listen and view the 2022 AVR presentation.
All right, so let me share my screen so that I could further share with you the good news about FEU Roosevelt. So let me put this into the screen now. So, all right, so the future is right here at FEU Roosevelt. Let me mention the different programs that we offer here. So for the tertiary education, we have the Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English, Filipino, Mathematics, Sciences, Social Studies, and Values Education. We also have Bachelor of Elementary Education, Bachelor of Early Childhood Education. We offer also Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, major in Marketing Management, Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, major in Financial Management, Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, major in Human Resource Management, and Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, major in Operations Management. FEU Roosevelt also offers Bachelor of Science in Information Technology and Bachelor of Science in Hospitality Management. All these programs are offered in the two campuses of FEU Roosevelt Cainta, and FEU Roosevelt Marikina. We also have online classes for these programs as well. For the graduate studies, we have our Masters in Education. We also offer the Masters in Business Administration. So if you register now by simply clicking on this particular link, http://bit.ly/FEUR college, or simply scan this QR code, you can avail the less 500 pesos for the down payment or the registration. Just simply inform us that you're part of our FEU Roosevelt Research Summit, and you are entitled for the 500 pesos discount. For the the discount is for our new students na mag-enroll po for both for graduate studies and for tertiary education. Again, you can scan this particular QR code and or just simply click the link so that you can have or that you can pre-register in our system. So for more information, you can contact us via mobile. Also, you can follow us in our social media. We have the FEU Roosevelt Tertiary Education Division and Graduate School of Education in our Facebook page, or follow us in our Twitter account at FEUR or FEU Roosevelt TED, TED. So there, just give us a message if there are other questions or inquiries regarding the enrollment for FEU Marketing. So thank you very much, and I'll now give back the virtual floor to Ma'am Veridiana.
Okay, thank you, Sir Dons. So, ano pang iniintay? Enroll na. And you can also extend the invitation to your family, friends, and neighbors to enroll at FEU Roosevelt. We have Cainta Campus, Marikina Campus, and Rodriguez Campus. Okay? So this time, we are now ready to award the certificates of appreciation to the panelists. And once again, may we ask Dr. Victor T. Tabuso, Dean, Tertiary Education Division, and Graduate School of Education of FEU Roosevelt to award the certificates. Sir? Dean Tabuso?
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Professor Veridiano. Okay, FEU Roosevelt award the Certificate of Appreciation to Dr. Crisanta Buri for being a panelist during the FEU Roosevelt Research Summit, given this 27th day of June 2022, signed by yours truly as Dean of the Tertiary and the Graduate School of Education, and our Senior Vice President, Dr. Alma Emerita V. de la Cruz.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, FEU Roosevelt.
Then another certificate. FEU Roosevelt award the Certificate of Appreciation to, I think this one is Dr. Bernardita Jamson for being a panelist during the FEU Roosevelt Research Summit, given this 27th day of June 2022, signed by yours truly as Dean of the TED and GS, and Dr. Alma Emerita Vidla Cruz as Senior Vice President. Then the last one, our last panelist, FEU Roosevelt awards the Certificate of Appreciation to Dr. Dondon Bensoceso for being a panelist during the FEU Roosevelt Research Summit, given this 27th day of June 2022, signed by yours truly as Dean of TED and GS, and Dr. Alma Emerita V. de la Cruz, Senior Vice President. Thank you, Professor
Thank you, Dean,
Veridiano.
and congratulations, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tabuso, and congratulations, panelists. Next is the awarding of certificates to the presenters, to be done by Dr. Frederick Edward T. Pabella, Research Consultant, FEU Roosevelt. Dr. Pabella? Dr. Pabella.
Okay, thank you ulit, Ma'am Veridiano. I would like to, sige po, isa-isahin na po natin. FEU Roosevelt awards the Certificate of Recognition to Ma'am Mary Calano for having been included among the top 10 outstanding theses and for presenting her study during the FEU Roosevelt Research Summit, given this 27th day of June 2022. Congratulations po. Lahat po na nag-present po ngayon ay nasa outstanding thesis. Kaya lahat po sila ay panalo. Ayan po. Okay po, next po. We would like to also present the Certificate of Recognition to Ma'am Princess Gonzalez for having been included again among the top 10 outstanding theses and for presenting her study during the FEU Roosevelt Research Summit. Okay po. And next po. Hello.
We can hear you, Doc.
Ayan, we would like to present this certificate of recognition to Ma'am. Ayan, I hope you can hear me na.
Yes, sir.
Okay, pasensya na po. This certificate of recognition is awarded to Ma'am Wayona Borilla. Again, for being included among the top 10 outstanding thesis and for presenting her study during this research summit. Okay po. And next po, we would like to present this certificate of recognition to Ma'am Jasmine Pacheco. Again, included among the top 10 outstanding thesis and for presenting her study during this research summit. And next po.
Sir? Sir Fabella? Doc Fabella?
Okay. Ayan.
Okay.
Rinig na po ba ako?
Ayan, sir. Yes, sir. Okay na.
Nag-unstable yung aking internet connection dito sa aming lugar. Mukhang ulan na. Pasensya na po. This certificate of recognition is awarded to Ma'am Marilyn Rockwood. Again, among the top 10 outstanding thesis and for presenting her study during the Research Summit of FEU Roosevelt. Okay po. And this certificate of recognition is awarded to Ma'am Marjorie Lagdameo. Again, included among the top 10 outstanding thesis and for presenting her study during this Research Summit of FEU Roosevelt. Okay po. And also, this certificate of recognition is awarded to Ma'am Lara Joy Dumlao, again included among the top 10 outstanding thesis and for presenting her study during the FEU Roosevelt Research Summit today. Okay, and also for Ma'am Julie Macariola, this certificate of recognition is awarded to you for being included among the top 10 outstanding thesis and for presenting her study during the FEU Roosevelt Research Summit. And of course, our last presenter, this certificate of recognition is awarded to Sir Joseph Esperida for having been included among the top 10 outstanding thesis and for presenting his study during the FEU Roosevelt Research Summit. All of these certificates are given this 27th day of June, 2022. All of them are signed by Dr. Victor T. Tabuzo, Dean of TED and Graduate Studies, and Dr. Alma Emerita V. de la Cruz, our Senior Vice President for the entire FEU Roosevelt. Again, thank you po and congratulations po sa inyong lahat.
Okay, so there you have. Thank you, Dr. Fabella, and congratulations to all the presenters. Now, let's come to the most interesting and most exciting moment. Okay, the announcement and awarding of the best presenter and supposed to be the best thesis. Okay, so may result na ba tayo, mga panel? All right, to announce and to award the best presenter is Dr. Dondon B. Buensoceso, Faculty of the Tertiary Education Division and Graduate School of Education of FEU Roosevelt and the chairman of the research panel. May we call on Dr. Buensoceso?
Good afternoon.
May result na ba, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Ayan
And
na.
we would like to congratulate all the participants to this first ever research summit in FEU Roosevelt. Congratulations. Allow me now to present to you the winner. The winner. Top
Okay,
one
lang, sir.
of the first research. And ta-da-dan! With an average score of 90.33%.
Wow.
We would like to congratulate Ma'am Jasmine Pacheco.
Wow.
our
Yes,
top
ma'am.
presenters for our first ever research summit here in FEU Roosevelt.
Okay.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Congratulations. Miss
Thank you so much
Jasmine
po.
Pacheco. Ayan.
Thank you
Okay.
po.
Okay. So nakita niyo naman, narinig niyo naman yung criteria, okay? For judging your paper, research paper. Okay? So congratulations, Jasmine.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much po to everyone po. To my advisors and to you, ma'am. My former thesis advisor when I was in college. Thank you so much po.
Ayan. Okay. Congratulations. And and so the whole of Tertiary Education Division as well as the Graduate School of Education is very proud of you.
Thank you
Okay?
po.
So, ayan. So, thank you, Dr. Bensuceso, okay? And all the members of the panel, okay? Dr. Buri and Dr. Chamson. And congratulations to the best presenter, Ma'am Jasmine Pacheco, okay? So, Ma'am Jasmine, we hope to see and read more research in your authorship. And of course, all the best for you. Okay. So before we finally close the program, let me acknowledge all the people behind this research summit. I cannot mention all of them, but certainly the Tertiary Education Division, Graduate School of Education of FEU Roosevelt should be commended for the efforts exerted from the start to the end of this summit. On behalf of the FEU Roosevelt Tertiary Education Division and Graduate School of Education Department, I would like to thank each and every one who have attended this meeting. So we look forward to seeing you at next year's event. Thank you all so much, and congratulations to all the presenters as well as to the winner, the best presenter. Congratulations and good day, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, the FEU hymn. Okay, so thank you everyone. So please stay for a while for a group, okay, group opportunity. Okay, so ayan po yung ating link and the QR code for evaluation. Okay.
Ma'am, can we have the group
Yes,
picture first?
group
Yeah.
picture muna tayo, group picture up. Yan.
Okay. Ask them to open their camera.
So yung mga
Thank
presenters then.
Yeah.
Okay, presenters, please open your cam.
Everyone, ma'am. Everyone.
Lahat po, lahat.
We have 5 frames po. I'll just count into 5 po. First slide muna po or first frame. So 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, one moment po. Second frame po tayo. Smile po. 1, 2, 3, smile. Another frame po. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. And last frame. 1, 2, 3, smile. All right, so we're all good for the photo op. Thank you.
Okay. So, congratulations everyone.
For the evaluation.
Yung
The link for
evaluation, yan. Naka-post na naman din.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.